Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. Weeknights at 7, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next project with 11% off everything. Freshen up your home with a new coat of Dutch Boy Platinum Plus paint. It features stain shield technology, providing up to 50% more stain resistance and washability. A gallon of flat is $28.98 after 11% rebate. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through April 3rd. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to 97.1 FM Talk and all the news, sports, music, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
So let me give you the capacity. The capacity for this location for COVID purposes is 250. For previous to COVID, the total capacity was 1,000. But I'm holding, like I said, we're holding over 4,100 subjects in this location alone. So you do the math. We're way over capacity. We're like 700% over capacity.
That's a Border Patrol officer at a facility in Texas saying that they are 700% over capacity right now. And we're talking about COVID capacity existing, to limit people, to give people socially distance space to exist in. Nope, not at the southern border. A lot of information coming out right now as some of the places on the southern border have been opened to media and to some politicians who have been down there to see it. We're going to be speaking in about 15 minutes or so with Mark Morgan, who is the former acting commissioner for Customs and Border Protection. He's also a senior fellow with Fair Immigration. We're going to talk to him and ask him, because he's there. He is aware of what's going on with his own eyes, his own ears, and he's going to be able to talk to us a bit about that. Love to invite you to join us on our live stream where you can participate in the live chat. Love seeing questions that come from you folks. Facebook.com/Annie Fry Show or the Annie Fry YouTube channel. Whenever we have a guest on like Mark Morgan or anyone, and you got a question, we read them and we field them from time to time with a guest. Welcome into the Annie Fry Show. Happy Wednesday. It's the end of March. Today's my sister's 40th birthday. I'm struggling with that a little bit. I'm sure she is too. She's my older sister. And I remember when she turned 30, and I think I remember when she turned 20, and it was uncomfortable for me. Mm-hmm. I should have asked her if I could talk about this. Katie? I have something I'd like to discuss. It's one of those weird moments where you come into, I just remember 30 sounding like, gosh, that's old. 30. And so, Katie, your husband just turned 30.
Yes.
Did that seem old to you? Like, he doesn't listen to the show, so you can say that.
Both of us were kind of like, yikes, dude, right? Like, we looked at each other, we're like, wow, 30.
There's a 3
that's a
in
big
that number.
deal. I think that for me, I still have 2 years to go. So that's what I keep hanging on to. I'm 28, so I just keep hanging on to these 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But for my husband, I think it kind of rocked him. He was like, this is just like kind of what you were saying. I remember turning 20 and 21 and that being a huge deal.
Yeah. I love my 30s. I've said this on the air several times, but I've always been a bit of an old soul. And my 30s is where I actually felt as old as I actually was. So I'm not really looking forward to 40 as much because I feel like I will be leaving the other side of that when I leave my 30s. Like, well, wait, now I still feel like I'm 30, but now I'm older than I actually feel. That's a bummer. So I don't know. Happy birthday to Katie. I'm excited for your 40th birthday, and I'm happy it's you and not me.
Mm-hmm. I've heard 30s are a great decade. I've heard it's like amazing to be in your 30s.
I'm a fan of it. It's where you get to you live a lot of life in your 30s. A lot of things, generally speaking, happen. And I think that the interesting thing is it's usually the time where you shed that oppressive feeling as a super young person to care a whole lot about what other people think. That is the most freeing thing that may happen to you in life. That and retirement, or when your last kid moves out of the house. So I've heard. But when you get to the point in life where you realize that there are other people out there who feel a certain way, and you're like, I don't care. I really don't. No, I really don't care. This is amazing. Let's celebrate by staying at home. It's a wonderful thing to go through, and you get to live that every day, going into your 40s and your 50s. But yeah, Katie, you've got a big move coming up here soon.
I do. It's been a doozy. I'm moving next week. And I'm nervous.
What are you nervous about?
Well, I've told you guys this before, and I've told the audience this before. I am totally overwhelmed. I don't remember going through this process 3 years ago when my husband and I moved into our current home. And
Did you move out of an apartment into a house?
Yes.
Okay.
We moved out from an apartment to our home now. Mm-hmm. And now we're moving from our home to a much bigger home, way out west, and I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Isn't Way Out West a song from Five Goes West?
I don't know.
Way Out West.
But
we can find out.
Yes, we can. We have the technology.
Steven Spielberg movie.
I told you this, Annie. I am just overwhelmed. Every day it seems like there's more paperwork that piles on. And just when you think you've got it under control, and just when you think you've called the bank enough, or you've had enough conversations with your loan officer, and you've called your real estate agent, there's the next day. And the next day happens, and you're calling everybody, and you're spending all evening calling everybody, trying to scramble to get more paperwork. So my evenings have been consumed with that. But outside of the paperwork and that scramble, my husband and I are just so thrilled. We are so excited and a little bit nervous because we do love our home now.
Have you decided yet? I'm so intrigued by this because we didn't do this until we moved in our last. Have you decided to hire or to rent a big truck or anything like that? Or are you still doing it like the, hey friends, beer and pizza?
We are still doing beer and pizza. Luckily enough,
we need to get a beer and pizza sponsor for Katie's
We
move.
do. Please, guys, come on. I have an older brother. God bless you, Jack. I love you. Mwah. He has helped me move every single time since my college days, since I was in an apartment with some girlfriends in college till now. And God bless older siblings, because my brother is a big burly dude that is always game to be like, let me help my little sister and her
for
husband.
Beer and pizza?
For beer and pizza. He's like, that's the only toll you have to pay. So he's going to come help. He's helping my husband out. And that's the way we're going to roll. However, we are renting a U-Haul.
That's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need that.
Can I give you one little warning, Katie?
Sure.
That if you love your current place, because we did the same exact thing when I was probably about the same age as you. And by the way, 40 is not that old.
You're inching closer.
That's coming this year for me.
Yes.
Just say, folks, you can probably guess who's the closest to 40.
Yes.
So when you leave the place you love and you move into this place, you're going to be so excited because we did the same thing. But then all of a sudden when you're there, it's not going to feel like home for like a month. And you're going to be like, what did we do? I loved that place. This place feels so foreign and it's a big echo chamber. I don't like it. But it happens about a month after you move in that you end up, okay, this is home now.
It actually took me probably, that's very true. It took me, I was going to say 9 months, but I was also like 6 weeks pregnant with my 4-year-old at the time, almost 5-year-old. And so I was not feeling great. And like the house had a smell. Well, of course it had a smell. Everything has a smell when I'm pregnant, but it didn't, I didn't want to go back to the house that I lived in. It wasn't like I missed the other place, but I was like, did we buy, you just question everything. You question everything.
Yeah.
Mike on Facebook says, when people ask my age, I say, that's none of my business.
That's the truth.
That's a good idea.
That's a good response. I've never heard that.
Vicky on Facebook says, I'm proud to be my age, amazed at what I've been able to handle in my 63 years. I just think that there's probably a point where your number just starts going up and you kind of just become, you get into the mental state of this is how old I am. And then like the age kind of gets away from you, especially if you have kids who maybe are having grandkids, or, if you have an active lifestyle that kind of keeps you feeling young or whatever, that the number doesn't necessarily, and the number, it's just a number. It's it's in your mind what that number means. Vicky also says, I loved my 40s. Now I'm looking 63 in a couple of months, really looking forward to 65 in retirement. So, nice. I mean, there's always those things that line themselves up. And the idea of like, if you can think about at any age when your parents turn 50 or when your parents turn 60 or when they retired, and then they get to that age and it's like, it's not a big deal. Like my parents are in their mid to late 60s and they're retired and they're running all over the place. I'm like, that looks pretty sweet.
That looks great.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I asked them the other day, I was like, is there ever a day or a moment where you wish you were still working? And they looked at me like they were about ready to disown me as their child. My dad was like, oh,
I can't believe that question.
And I knew the answer. I knew my mom's answer, and they both had, good long careers, and they are very proud of them. But it's just for them, it's like a heck no, like no, not even a bit of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, well, all in all, happy birthday to my sister. 40, I hope, is less scary when I get there than it is from when you ever have those moments in life where it's somebody else experiences something and it's almost more, or maybe like Ryan with your kids, if they hit a milestone, or every year when my oldest, especially Charlie, when he turns new age, because he's the first kid that I have who's in double digits or getting close to being a teenager, he's done the math and he's like, when the baby is this old, I'll be able to drive. And I'm like, well, I don't know if we're going to let you.
Yeah.
You experience these. It's not so much when it happens to you, it's when it happens to people around you.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, because with you, you're sort of built up to think, okay, when I hit this thing, it's going to be a milestone. And then it never is. It's always less than it seems.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's somebody else, it sneaks up on you. And it kind of catches you off guard, and you sort of end up experiencing emotions you didn't think you were going to experience. So I totally understand what you mean.
I don't want to think about Charlie being able to drive when this baby that is incredible. Not because he'd be bad.
Just his mother.
Not because but that's like what you're just describing. I'm like, oh my God. I remember
other people's kids.
I remember Evelyn in diapers coming to visit us at our old station.
Yeah. Like brand new baby. Aaron on Facebook says he's in his mid 30s and had that don't care what you think of me attitude since middle school. That's a blessing for you. Scott says, I turned 49 this year, so I will be officially 49 for the next couple of decades. That way I can always say I'm in my 40s. So that's good. Scott's owning his 40s. That gives me hope. Maybe if my sister's listening, that gives her hope. Or she's texting me maybe saying, what are you doing talking about my age?
Why is this being
Let's take a quick break because I want to talk to Mark Morgan. He's with Fair Immigration. He's a senior fellow there. He's also the former acting commissioner for Customs and Border Protection at the southern border. He's near a hotspot of McAllen, Texas on the border. And he's going to give us that firsthand look of what's taking place down there. And, listening to that Border Patrol officer that we started this show with, 700% over capacity right now. That's pretty significant and massive, isn't it? Well, let's listen to Mark Morgan when we come back and get his firsthand experience. If you have questions that you would like to know the answers to with Mark Morgan, get on the Facebook Live or the Annie Fry YouTube Live and comment. Join the chat there. You can also tell us how old you are and how great it is to be that age. We would love to hear that. We need the encouragement today. We'll be right back.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Tony LaRussa here. Has your loss of energy and weight gain thrown you a curveball in your relationship? If so, go see my friends over at Victory Men's Health. Discreet first-class professionals will help you hit those curves out of the park. VictoryMen'sHealth.com. That's VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
Do you promise to love, honor, and cherish, forsaking all others?
I do.
I do.
And now, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you roommates. Go forth and...
That's not the vow you took. But if struggles with CPAP have you and your spouse sleeping in separate rooms, growing apart, and feeling more like roommates than loving partners, it might be time to look into Inspire. Inspire is the only FDA-approved sleep apnea treatment that works inside the body with just the click of a remote. That's right, just a button. There is no mask or hose and no need to sleep in separate rooms. If you are struggling with CPAP, great sleep awaits at InspireSleep.com. That's InspireSleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep.
Talk to your doctor to see if Inspire is right for you. Review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel, and host of On the Money, heard every Saturday morning at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Nearly every week, our team meets with clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and in some cases actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion on your retirement plan today. When you work with us at the ClearPath Wealth Management Group, we're committed to providing you with guidance that's in your best interest, no exceptions. To request your free consultation, contact us at bobstockdale.com. That's bobstockdale.com. Again, that's bobstockdale.com. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Is your home, business, or church looking tired, chalky, or in need of curb appeal? Go Rhino. Tired of painting year after year? Go Rhino. Our unique 3M ceramic technology is perfect for brick, stucco, aluminum, steel, color lock masonite, and more. It's backed by our 25-year transferable warranty to not chip, crack, or peel. Great if you're staying, and even better if you're selling. Our ceramic coating allows you to maintain all of your architectural features. The decision to do vinyl will leave your home looking like a plastic moldy box. With Rhino Shield, in 15 years, your home will still have that, wow, it looks like you just got it painted. We've done large condo complexes, parking garages, pole barns, and commercial strip malls. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. Evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Diamonds happen to be April's birthstone, but let's face it, who wouldn't love a gift of diamond jewelry? At Shane Company, our beautiful diamonds are natural and ethically sourced. We handpick them for their extraordinary fire and brilliance. You'll notice the superior quality right away. You can see the difference. Diamonds will never go out of style. Come to Shane Company for stunning diamond gifts. We have unique styles in every price range, created by our in-house design team and made to last for generations. Give her a diamond solitaire necklace, a tennis bracelet, stud earrings, diamond accented hoop earrings, or a stunning 3-stone ring. Shane Company jewelry is made so well, with attention to every detail, that we can provide our warranty for life for free. Your gift will take her breath away. Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
There's something different about a diamond from Diamonds Direct. It sparkles more. It's more brilliant. It stands out. People notice it more. You know why? It starts with owners who are obsessed with quality and perfection. Every diamond at Diamonds Direct is handpicked for maximum brilliance. We know how to get the perfect cut that gives you that magic sparkle. In fact, we're so picky, for every 100 diamonds we look at, we will usually only choose about 5 to bring back to our showroom. Then, to give you the ultimate in confidence, our diamonds are certified by the most stringent and most reputable American gem labs. In fact, Diamonds Direct has one of the largest selections of GIA-certified diamonds in the country. Our passion for quality extends to the rings we sell too. Our engagement rings are not cookie cutter. They're handcrafted by the world's top ring designers with intricate detail and true artisan craftsmanship made right here in America. No cutting corners, no compromises. That's why you can always spot a diamond from Diamonds Direct, where St. Louis gets engaged. Olive and 270 at City Place, diamondsdirect.com.
Information to keep you moving. Dependable traffic driven by Ambassador Midwest Floor Company. The best way to deal with in-home traffic. Experience more at Ambassador Midwest Floor.
What will happen is, as they said, this is the tip of the iceberg. What will keep coming is millions and millions more. Meanwhile, our citizens can't, Afghan veterans and from the Afghan war, and the VA is staying at home because of COVID problems. Social Security can't get an answer. Meanwhile, we're welcoming just new hundreds of thousands of people. It's an embarrassment, and this is what happens when you elect Democrats.
Well, that's one way to put it. Representative Pete Sessions talking about the border, saying it's an embarrassment. Well, let's talk to somebody who is there, who understands with their own firsthand experience what is going on, specifically near McAllen, Texas, on the border. Mark Morgan joins us now. He is Fair Immigration Senior Fellow, also former acting commissioner for Customs and Border Protection. Mark, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for the time today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I mean, this is a very critically important issue for this entire country, so I appreciate the time.
So let me ask you, I hear a politician saying this is what happens when you elect Democrats and calling it an embarrassment. If you put that in the context of politics, that sounds like something you could hear about any issue, any day, any time. You have a firsthand look at what's going on down there. Is it an embarrassment?
So I have a different adjective that I use to describe it, Annie. And I think this is important to put in context. Look, I've been serving this country for 35 years. I've served under 6 administrations, both Republican and Democrat. This is not a right or left thing. This is an American thing. What I would say is I would go beyond this embarrassment. I would say that what is happening on our southwest border is negatively impacting our national and economic security. That's where we're at right now. And I think as I've seen what I've seen unfold this week here down in McAllen, Texas, the epicenter. Look, I've been down here before. 2019 was a crisis. I've seen people illegally enter. But what struck me this time differently as I was watching hundreds and hundreds of unaccompanied minors and families come across for an hour straight as I was standing there and it kept coming, was that this could have been prevented, Annie. We had this managed. We have the tools and authorities that effectively, address the illegal migration flow under the Trump administration. And we absolutely provided exhaustive briefings to the Biden transition team. And we told them, if you did what they have done, what they said they were going to do, that you would create this unmitigated crisis. And here we're at.
Mark Morgan is FAIR's Senior Fellow and former Acting Commissioner for Customs and Border Protection. Mark, really short question here. According to this administration, is this negligent or is this deliberate, in your opinion?
Absolutely deliberate. And that's a great question. The listeners really need to pay attention to this because people keep saying that hey, they don't have a strategy. They don't know what they're doing. I respectfully disagree. They're doing exactly as they designed. Because look, right now they're incentivizing, they're encouraging, and facilitating illegal immigration. We're seeing 6,000 a day. In March, you're going to see the numbers be 150,000. And they're creating reception centers at the front end. They are releasing people as fast as humanly possible, knowing they're never going to show up for their immigration hearings. And they've removed 90% of ICE's authority in the back end to remove them lawfully, creating sanctuary country. Look, there is no other reason that makes sense from a law and order, from a sovereignty perspective. The only thing that makes sense is they see a perceived political value. They think every individual that they give a pathway to citizenship is going to equate to a Democratic vote. That's the only thing that makes sense. So they're carrying out their strategy.
Mark, what happens after they, we hold them for a certain amount of time? You said this is an American problem. We're right here in the, the heart of the country in St. Louis, Missouri. Does this affect Missouri? Does this affect Illinois? Does this affect states all across the country?
Another good question, Andy. And yeah, hey, look, I'm a Missouri boy, born and raised, and you bet you it does. And I'm telling you, that's why we've been saying for a long time that this doesn't just impact the border states, right? That every town, city, and state is a border town, city, and state. And let me give you just a real quick example. Let's say drugs. So right now, even though the Secretary of DHS Mayorkas is lying to the American people when he says the border is secure, that's absurd. It's a joke, and every Border Patrol agent online knows the Secretary's lying to the American people. Right now, you've got about 50% in this area alone. You've got 50% of the Border Patrol resources that are pulled off the line to deal the humanitarian assistance to the kids and families coming across, leaving large areas of border wide open. What do you think's happening? Drugs are pouring in. Criminal aliens are pouring in. And where do you think those drugs and those criminal aliens go? They don't stay on the southwest border. They make it to every city and town in this country. Right now in St. Louis, Missouri, if you have a meth overdose, your listeners need to understand. If you understand or you see on TV that somebody died from a meth overdose, you can take to the bank that meth more than likely came from the southwest border. If you've got an MS-13 gang issue and you just had some horrific violent crime happen in your community because of MS-13, I guarantee you there's a connection back to the southwest border. Everybody needs to understand every single town, city, and state in this country is affected by this.
Mark, with what you said about the federal government and the Biden administration not only actively doing nothing, but actively undermining our own national security on purpose, what is the state's role in this? We've heard a lot about Texas, possibly doing things with the National Guard. What can states like Texas do, and what are they doing now?
So, look, again, very good question. And it's not just the border states, right? Look, what I'm trying to tell people across the country is, first, get informed, get knowledgeable about what's going on. So, don't fall into that confirmation bias and just listen to one entity, right? Research, get on FAIR's website, for example, look at the Twitter account, get informed, get factual, and then get involved, make your voice be heard. Look, you can get to your state legislator, you can get to your AG, you can get to your governor and tell them that they need to get involved and need to push back, just like the AG of Texas did, as you mentioned. He pushed back against the unconstitutional, unlawful action that this administration has taken, especially on stopping deportations for 100 days. And he won. He got that enjoined across the nation. And here's a key critical thing that was said in the judge's order, is that he saw immediate harm coming to the state of Texas. So that's key. So the states can have an impact, but they need to get involved and they need to sue for these unconstitutional, unlawful executive orders and actions that are taking place.
We're speaking with the former acting commissioner for Customs and Border Protection and a senior fellow with Fair Immigration. We encourage you to check out their website. Mark Morgan joining us right now. You've talked about what people can do to take action, which is always an important key to discuss when we're talking about these issues. But I think the climate and the country as a whole is center right on this issue. And it seems as though this administration is under the cloud of some secrecy, maybe opening up a view here and a view there with a certain amount of time passing to give that type of heads up. It seems as though the Biden administration right now is not being honest with the American people and disallowing the press to expose whatever the truth is down there with pictures, with video, with images. Do you see that as compounding the problem right now, or does that just become a talking point for talking heads on radio?
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it is compounded because, look, American people are smarter than I think this administration is thinking that they are. Look, the less transparent you are, they understand. All that equates to the government is you're trying to hide stuff. Look, when I was there, I would have been eviscerated. I mean, we were the most transparent administration in my 35 years. I personally was out there every single month, and I was providing excruciating detail. I was taking questions. I was taking softballs. I was taking hardball questions from the right, the left, open border advocates, you name it. But that was our responsibility. I remember giving tours, at the height of the crisis when our facilities were overpacked then. because the American people needed to see the crisis for what it was. But they also understood that we were doing everything we could to stop it and prevent it, unlike this administration. So, yeah, the American people understand that they're hiding it, and it is getting worse. I mean, look, I'm hearing now that they're trying to play with the numbers. You know, there's a thing we call recidivism, where, you know, the same individual goes back and forth and gets caught multiple times. I heard now they're trying to do it so that's not counted as an apprehension every time that they come across, so then they can lower the actual numbers. I mean, they're not learning. They're just doubling down on the lockout.
Is there a definitive line that you can draw between the end of the Trump administration and the beginning of the Biden administration? You know, I'm sure that you've heard President Biden say this is a seasonal effect. This is the weather, and it's causing an uptick, and that's something that we can count on. Does this have anything to do with the administration changing?
Look, and again, 35 years. I don't get pleasure out of saying this, but the president is lying to the American people. His press secretary is lying to the American people. His DHS secretary that is leading this is lying to the American people. This is not seasonal. Historical seasonal trends went out the window 5 years ago when we really started to see the influx of families and unaccompanied minors. Those seasonal trends that really were significant and defined were back in the day where the majority of what we're seeing were single adults. And let me give you a real quick stat. The same time, from November to March, the same time last year, 19 to 20, the numbers dramatically went down and down. In March of 2020, 33,000 in a month. And this same time period, from November to this March, the numbers have more than doubled. And this March will be, as I said, over 150,000. That's a 354% increase from this time last year. Yeah, that's not seasonal. That's an absolute lie.
Mark, it's a pleasure speaking with you. You hope you'll come back again sometime to continue talking about this issue with us, because it is important for everybody to hear. And I like your passion on this and your knowledge, your firsthand experience. Thank you so much, Mark Morgan. Thank you. It's a great opportunity to speak with you.
Thanks. You guys ask, I'll come back. Thank you.
Fantastic. Mark Morgan, the former acting commissioner for Customs and Border Protection and a senior fellow there at Fair Immigration. You can follow him on Twitter at CBP Mark Morgan. For more, thank him for coming on the show, because it was a good opportunity to speak with him. When we come back, I'm going to talk to you. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, of course, she's Katie's favorite. Katie, when Katie finds she knows that I don't want to talk about Ocasio-Cortez.
I know.
You know that I see this and I'm like, I'm not playing that. But then I pair that with the message that you send me with it, that's got like a bunch of emojis and like bleeped out words and stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe we should play this for Katie. It would be like a courtesy.
It's a therapeutic thing if you would do this for me.
Yeah. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is weighing in on the border crisis. And see, now if I say I'll play that for you when we come back, then people might change the radio station. So I'm going to play it for Katie when we come back, and we're going to all rally around Katie and get her through this together. I hope you join us. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Around me, baby. Put your arms around me, baby.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show.
Put your arms around me, baby. Put your arms around me, baby.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. In addition to heating and cooling, Air Comfort Service also offers indoor air quality, water heater, and AeroSeal duct sealing services. Get in your comfort zone with aircomfortservice.com.
Time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design for your project at home. That one renovation that you've been just dying to have that's going to transform your house into that home. You can call Lakeside Renovation and Design at 636-978-5000. That's 636-978-5000. They know that a lot of homeowners have something about your house that frustrates you, and they have a proven remodeling process. It's going to help you transform your house into a home that you're going to love. When you are looking for James Hardie siding installation on the exterior of your home, or infinity window replacement, how about a custom front entry doorway? You can change the entire look of your house with the experts at Lakeside Renovation and Design. If you know what you want, that's fantastic. If you think you have an idea, let the experts help you with that design process, as Lakeside employs over 100 of the very best that St. Louis has to offer to make sure that you're fully satisfied with the final product. 636-978-5000. That's 636-978-5000, lakesiderenovationanddesign.com.
At your house, you're the ruler of the thermostat. And Ameren Missouri is giving you the power to save with a $0 smart thermostat while supplies last. Find terms at AmerenMissouri.com/save now. Taxes and enrollment and peak time savings apply.
Whether you're an experienced sports bettor or someone who's just starting out, BetQL is here to help us become better bettors. Get access to data and insights the sportsbooks don't want you to see. Bet smarter and beat the books. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com today.
The Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health understands how difficult it is to maintain healthy skin and how much this can affect someone's life. With the right combination of treatments and products, they can help you keep your skin looking healthy and more youthful, while also reducing and preventing damage. Take your first step towards healthy skin at the Med Spa at the Institute of Natural Health. Visit them at inhstl.com or call to schedule at 314-293-8123. That's 314-293-8123.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Legacy Box, the fun and effortless way to have your aging tapes, films, and photos digitally preserved for generations. I know I have boxes of videos and pictures sitting in my basement, and there are a lot of great memories from when my kids were younger because, let's face it, we weren't using our cell phones as much back then. Legacy Box helps bring new life to old media by unlocking all those trapped memories and putting them in modern digital formats that's easy to use. So I'm just getting started with Legacy Box, getting ready to unpack those tapes and boxes, sending it in for transformation, and it couldn't be easier to use. All you really have to do is pack up the box and send it in. The Legacy Box team then creates a digital archive by hand. Then you get your new copy sent back to you on the cloud, a thumb drive, or DVD, along with your original pictures and recordings. Legacy Box just surpassed 1 million customers. And in celebration of that milestone, Legacy Box is offering 50% off for all 97.1 listeners. Go to legacybox.com/Mark to get started. Take advantage of 50% off. That's legacybox.com/Mark. Save 50% while supplies last.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to the Mark Cox Morning Show, plus all the news, sports, music, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
All right, Katie, the time has come. I need to pull up the exact message. Can I read this message on the air? Is it?
Yes, you can. It's short, but
there it is. There it is. Seems like I shouldn't play this for everybody else. It just says in all caps, "I want to die," with like 12 E's on die. It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And anytime she thinks that it's time to weigh in on something, you're like, it's probably not time for you to weigh in on something. Yet she's weighing in on the border.
They want to say, what about the surge? Well, first of all, just gut check, stop. Anyone who's using the term surge around you consciously is trying to invoke a militaristic frame. And that's a problem because this is not a surge. These are children, and they are not insurgents, and we are not being invaded, which, by the way, is a white supremacist idea, philosophy. The idea that if an other is coming in the population, that this is like an invasion of who we are.
I think she's entirely wrong. I think everything that she has just said there is wrong. Katie, how does that settle with you when you hear that? Because I honestly saw that video floating around Twitter and I just thought, I'm gonna take this pitch. I'm not going down this road. I don't need to know what she says. But Katie watches it and she has to share it with me with
it's just
threats.
So difficult because this was on one of her lives. You know, she's very famous on going Instagram or Twitter and doing a live broadcast for the many fans that she has. I just find this so appalling because this is why people don't trust politicians. This is a perfect example of why people don't trust politicians, because this is a softball. This is an easy one that Democrats can rally around and say, yeah, there's a lot of people coming in, flooding the border. It's not something that we were prepared for. We are right now incapable of handling what's going on here. There's a flood. And that's an easy thing to say because, as we just pointed out with Mark Morgan, it's happening. People at the border that are reporting from the border are saying this is going down.
Mm-hmm.
This is why people don't trust politicians, because they can't give up the tribalism. They can't give up being a partisan person. It's all or nothing with their party. And I know, AOC, you wanted Trump out so badly. I get it. But now you have to deal with Biden, who also I don't think you really wanted either. But now you have to deal with him, and you have to deal with the consequences that happen with the decisions this administration makes. And you have to be honest. And I'm not saying it just happens for Democrats or people very progressive or on the left. It happens for people on the right, too. It happens with the GOP as well. This is where you earn our trust back with saying something as easy as there is a surge happening and not making it. There's a surge. It's not about race. When you say something like that, it's not about race. It's the truth. So
I'd put you up
that's it.
against her any day. I'd take you in that battle. You know, I think the thing that hits me the most when I listen to what she just said there is we just got done talking to Mark Morgan, who is there. He's in McAllen, Texas. He is seeing this stuff. I mean, he couldn't talk fast enough because you could tell he was so passionate about how real this problem is on the southern border. And AOC's concern is vocabulary. It's semantics. The danger that faces this country has nothing to do with what's happening at the southern border. The danger is you and the word you choose to say in order to explain what's happening on the southern border, or even to question what's happening on the southern border. If you use the word surge, then you have now been linked to white supremacy. And probably, likely, even unknowingly so, because your white privilege blinds you from even understanding these types of things. The danger to society are the words that we use and the way that we use them. And it takes an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on an Instagram Live to make sure that the people of this country understand how violent their language is. Does she even care about these children? Yes, they're children. I understand they're children. It's a travesty that this administration has, and that the Obama administration as well, set a tone that says if you send your kids here unaccompanied, we'll let them stay. That is an invitation. That is a policy that was put in place by those administrations that encouraged people to send their unaccompanied children into our country, risking peril. I mean, speaking of things, I feel like I scroll through Twitter and I don't partake in at least 50% of it, electing to not watch videos. You can see so many horrible things on Twitter. But, you know, there was video of a 9-year-old drowning in the river. A 9-year-old girl, you can just watch these things. You can see them from your own eyes. Is that the white Americans' fault as well? Because when you listen to what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is saying, she's not concerned about why they're coming here. She's not concerned about what happens when they get here. Her only concern is how you talk about it, and her only concern is how you talk about it so that she can flip it on its head and make it a political point against you. So now, listen to this. This is from Fox News a little bit earlier. There is a series of comic books out there. It's Female Force is the
First Lady Jill Biden will soon be the star of a new biographical comic book alongside a matching coloring book. It's part of a Female Force series aimed at inspiring young girls through telling the stories of powerful and influential women. Now, the authors have previously featured Michelle Obama, Kamala Harris, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, but notably absent from the series, for example, Melania Trump. Unlike her predecessor and successor, no inspiring comic book for her.
Why is it that what has Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez done to earn a comic book? I mean, we can have the discussion about these 5 women who have been, you know, put into these books to give to kids, to influence kids. And I'm not even saying that those 5 women shouldn't be in there, but in the context of all of the women that Female Force is recognizing, there are none that represent me. And I'm here to tell you that Kamala Harris being a female vice president doesn't make me feel any more empowered than I've ever felt before. I felt more empowered by Mike Pence, who actually aligned with how I think, as opposed to what physical features my body has that aligns with the vice president. But here we have Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez making words the biggest weapon that can exist in any issue at any time. And guess what? She holds the dictionary. She's the one who gets to determine what's good and what's not. And she can change the rules and move the goalpost at any time. Why does she get a comic book? It blows my mind. What do you think?
This is going to sound ridiculous, but I'm actually really disappointed in Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, more so than I would be if this were the same exact thing being broadcast by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, because I thought she was more of an ideologue. And when she put her foot down on an issue, I, to an extent, trusted that she would come back on that issue no matter who was in charge and have the same priorities. And in doing this, it shows that she's not. And that really disappoints me, because I thought maybe even though we couldn't disagree more on almost every issue, she would hold the line on this one, and she's not. And I hate to see that.
You give her a lot of credit.
I do. It's a stupid thing to say, but
well, you can't
know, there are a few, even the squad, like I thought some of their principles would be bedrock to them, like that they wouldn't necessarily put party first. And that's what I see happening here.
Well, and you can't go to the border and make a big deal about going to the border. And I know this sounds like a talking point, but it's whenever Trump was president, you cannot go to the border, make a big deal about it, have the cameras rolling, have the pictures be taken of you crying and upset because of the things that you're seeing, and then radio silence on something like this. And then when you're asked and you're pressed because it is an actual question, not even by reporters, by the people watching your live stream, they're the people that asked her, where are you? You were the advocate for these kids in cages. Where have you been? And she says, white supremacy, don't say surge, don't use it, don't use that language, that's white supremacy. You're a coward and you're looking weak. And you were supposed to be someone that's an advocate for people my age, that everybody looks up to you. People look up to you for information. So be that advocate. We're holding you accountable. And if you can't handle it, then you shouldn't have your seat.
She has real influence.
Real influence.
Yeah. Not just on people who are, on her Instagram. She has influence in Congress. She has created a presence for herself that gives weight, and sometimes, I mean, like I said, I don't give her nearly as much credit as Ryan has in the past, but I feel as though she's a useful idiot who can go and say things and do things in a very brash, set the tone on the far left for the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi or any Democrat that's in Congress right now can get credit for her far left progressivism because their party is the one that controls her. But when you just kind of let her go and you let her say these things, and she exists and she has a way of communicating, like she understands the technology of how to communicate, it's like they can take credit for it, but they don't have to take responsibility for it. And that's what she is to me, is a very useful idiot for the left to trot out there. And I see the comments here right now in our live chat, and I've thought it myself as well, like she should just go back to the bar and 10 bar and make drinks for people and everything would be better. But that's not the way this works. And she worked her tail off to get elected to primary Joe's, what was his last name? Was the fourth in command in the Democratic Party in the House of Representatives. And she outworked him because of the stagnancy of the lifers, the career politicians that are in Congress. She went out and worked. They didn't think they had to, and she beat them. That's about what I'll give her credit for. But when she trots herself out with these aggressive things, it does have consequence. Every single time it has consequence. And it has shifted, even the tenor of the Biden administration, when they talk about, is he going to be moderate and work with Republicans, or is he going to go the way of the AOCs of the world? Her name comes up. Her name comes up more than anybody's. That's why I don't like to give her airtime, but I had to, because Katie needed
I'm
to get
sorry,
this off our
everyone.
chest.
I'm sorry, everyone.
Can you talk real quick? Katie, can you talk real quick about, oh, that's rude. Can you talk real quick about the
Yes.
gift box giveaway?
So we
Or
have a BBQ
purchase?
beer and baseball home opener box that is on sale right now, people. And it has BBQ nachos with pulled pork. You also get a bottle of Sugar Fire barbecue sauce with their famous rub, a 4-pack of Citywide, and one of the new, not even available for the public yet, Birds Are Back t-shirt from Arch Apparel. Go ahead and look at our station's website, and it's going to lead you to a place that it says that you can pick up this selected box at Sugar Fire locations on Thursday, April 8th. Visit our website for more information.
Sugar Fire, man. That is some good stuff. We've got one in Illinois over here by where we are. And any day with Sugar Fire is a good day. 971talk.com for more information. Check it out. Thank you, Katie, for reading that. Let's take a quick break. When we come back in the next hour, we've got Deroy Murdock and Tim Jones and you in the live chat. We'll be back in a minute.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Zero Res Carpet Cleaning, and Zero Res is coming along with the Mark Reardon Show over to 97.1 FM Talk to support me and my listeners, so that's exciting. If you have not heard about Zero Res and some of the special deals, let me get you on board right here because your carpets are a mess right now. You probably haven't had them cleaned for a while. Certainly, if you haven't had them cleaned, this is the time to do it. Even if you do clean your carpets on a regular basis, think about the winter that we just experienced. A lot of gunk out there from that cold stretch, the salt, the other nastiness that probably came into your house, especially like I do. I have dogs. You just never know what they're bringing in. So let's do something about it with a great offer from my friends at Zero Res right now. 3 rooms of carpet, Zero Resified, starting at just $119. You got to do it right now. Take $50 off the air duct cleaning. Book today, 474-2020. You can also do it online. Make sure you mention the Mark Reardon KFTK special. 3 rooms starting at $119. 474-2020. ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backwards or forwards, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Hairsaloon.com. That's the website you go to check out all the various locations of a hair salon near you. And I promise you, there's a hair salon near you. If you are looking for a perfect haircut and you want an atmosphere that is respectful of you, Hair Saloon believes that men deserve better, and it really shows. When you show up to Hair Saloon, you're going to get a complimentary beverage right off the start, a perfect haircut every time that includes a relaxing shampoo, hot towel, and mint, plus complimentary shoe shine. That's pretty fantastic. If you are somebody who is a veteran, active duty military, or a first responder, also Hair Saloon believes that you deserve a 25% discount on all services every day, all day. And this is a great way to save some money and to be recognized for what you've done for your country and for your community. If you're looking for a hair salon near you to get your haircut scheduled today, reach out to them online at hairsaloon.com.
Are you sick and tired of your janitorial company not meeting your expectations? Call Jan Pro of St. Louis, the commercial cleaning company you can count on. Have you had it with your cleaning guys not showing up? Call Jan Pro of St. Louis to get the job done. The Jan Pro cleaning and disinfection process guarantees satisfaction for a wide range of industries and budgets through quality, technology, and a measurement for a consistent clean every time. Tired of no follow-up? Call Jan Pro of St. Louis, 314-989-9977. Trusted clean guaranteed.
Weather plays havoc on the exterior of your home. That's why Banner Construction specializes in the best James Hardy fiber cement siding and Pella windows. James Hardy is unmatched for its weather resistance and beauty, and Banner Construction is a preferred James Hardy contractor as well as a Pella Platinum contractor. Don't settle for less than the quality craftsmanship you get from Banner Construction. Visit them online at bannerconstruction.com. or call 314-569-1050. That's 569-1050, and have a banner day.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
New policies for the U.S. military. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. New guidance being issued after a 2-month review to strip away Trump-era policies that largely banned transgender service in the military.
New Pentagon regulations will allow transgender people who meet military standards to enlist and serve in their self-identified gender and have access to medically necessary gender transition-related care. The president signed an executive order prohibiting any military member to be forced out on the basis of gender identity. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has called for records of service members discharged or denied reenlistment because of gender identity to be reviewed.
Fox's Jared Halpern. In a 2019 estimate, nearly 15,000 active duty and reserve troops identify as transgender. President Biden is heading to Pittsburgh to lay out an infrastructure plan that's already building debate. Fox's Rachel Sutherland has this live.
Lisa, the president will pitch a plan to overhaul roads, bridges, rails, and broadband internet. The $2 trillion cost would be offset by tax increases on wealthier Americans and corporations, something Republican Congressman Kevin Brady opposes.
We will see a net loss of jobs and growth. We will see flatter paychecks.
Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna says he thinks it's fair for corporations, particularly tech companies, to pay more.
So that we can reindustrialize America, so we can help the rural communities and towns left out.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce is calling on Congress to find other ways to pay for new infrastructure. Lisa?
Thanks, Rachel. More than 54 million people are now fully vaccinated against COVID in the U.S. As federal health officials continue to warn, a race continues against rising cases and new variants. A new report shows the virus was the third leading cause of death in the U.S. last year, behind heart disease and cancer. The overall number of U.S. deaths hitting an annual record in 2020, over 3.3 million. America is listening to Fox News.
How do you protect yourself from the new forms of the coronavirus? Here you go. Got a mask that fits good and snug? Perfect. Now, give your neighbors at least 6 feet of space and avoid crowds, because all that stuff still works too. Look, I'll definitely get my vaccine when it's my turn, but now isn't the time to let your guard or your mask down.
We can do this. Learn more at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
What do you get when you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor? You get someone who understands there's an art to listening, who's able to hear more than what's being said, and can provide tailored small business solutions that make you feel truly heard.
I understand. Let's get started.
For advice on everything from laptops to the cloud and solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Partly to mostly sunny skies with us the rest of the afternoon, but it stays breezy and it's certainly cooler than the last couple of days. Temperatures in the low 50s. Tonight, clear and cold. There'll be a light freeze across the area. 29 for the low. Thursday, sunny and chilly. Then it's a nice stretch of weather. Friday, sunny, 60. Saturday, sunny, 68. And Sunday, sunny and 75. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's time for the Mark Cox redistribution of wealth.
Can't we get the government involved somehow?
$1,000 is on the line. Want to win?
This hour's keyword is cart. Text the word cart to 72881 by the end of the hour for your chance to win $1,000. That is C-A-R-T, cart to 72881. Message data rates apply. Don't text and drive. This is a national contest. Again, that word is cart.
If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis can pay you cash and close in as little as 5 days. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis is your most trusted home buyer. We buy houses in any condition, any price range, and in any location in the St. Louis metro. Call 314-782-7000. Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis buys inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses, and even those my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that is trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis today. Vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, get a cash offer in just 7 minutes. Call Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis at 314-782-7000. That's 314-782-7000. 314-782-7000.
Add comfort to your home and get 11% off everything now at Menards. Find your style with Patriot Lighting ceiling fans. The LED Ogan ceiling fan comes with a remote and easily lets you change the color temperature. Get 11% off all Patriot Lighting ceiling fans. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through April 3rd. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Jules on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jules on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jules on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jules on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. Jules on Hampton.
I'm Dr. Nick Barnes at Health From Within Family Chiropractic in Rock Hill. At Health From Within, our mission is to transform the way you manage your health by bringing you the truth about health and healing. We use proven techniques to remove interference in the nervous system and maximize health naturally, without drugs or surgery. Connect with me at healthfromwithinstl.com and join me for Maximize Living on this station every Sunday at 8 a.m. or download the Maximize Living podcast, healthfromwithinstl.com.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to 97.1 FM Talk and all the news, sports, music, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey, that's AUDACY.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, Sid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
I believe that virtually all Republicans understand H.R. 1 is not only the Corrupt Politicians Act, it is a desperate attempt by the Democrats to so rig the election that for the rest of our lifetime will resemble Chicago or New York or California, and the machine will own everything. And I frankly believe that in West Virginia with Manchin, in Arizona with both senators, in New Hampshire, in Nevada, I think there are a lot of Democrats now beginning to really take the heat.
So there you have Newt Gingrich talking about H.R. 1, but specifically the makeup of Congress right now with a very slim majority in the House of Representatives led by Nancy Pelosi and as slim as it gets in the United States Senate with Chuck Schumer at the helm and a tie-breaking vote of VP Kamala Harris. A lot of people need to take a look and pay attention right now. The drastic nature of legislation that this Biden administration has been willing to push through without any Republican support. And the question I have for the Joe Manchins of the world or the Kristen Sinemas of the world or anybody who has maybe a more purple district or state where they get elected is, do you have Republicans who have helped you get to where you are right now? And can you continue to stay in those seats and retain your place in Congress by going the way of this far leftist Democrat Party, regardless of whether any type of bipartisanship exists whatsoever? Love to ask Deroy Murdock about that. He's joining us now. He's a Fox News contributor with us each Wednesday. Deroy, pleasure to have you back. What do you think about the razor-thin majority that the Democrats have, but their willingness to use it for some of the most drastic legislation, far left progressive legislation that we've seen in some time?
Annie, great to talk to you, and I think you completely nailed it. These folks do not have a mandate. The country is at least split down the middle. They obviously lost what was about a dozen seats in the House. They don't have a huge majority in the U.S. Senate. They got 50 seats, as do the Republicans. But you had Kamala Harris on a tie-breaking vote, and they can win 51 to 50. And so that's not exactly a mandate to transform this country along far left lines. Regardless, I believe they see this as a once in a generation or once in every 30, 40, 50 year opportunity to have the House, the Senate, the White House, and get as much stuff through as possible before either they lose in the midterms in November of 2022, or even before then, if people sufficiently get sick about this, that the popularity of Biden and the Democrats falls through the floor. And then these politicians who, the one skill they know how to do is to read polls and surveys. If they think, well, my seat might be in trouble, I need to dial back on this stuff. So they're just going full speed ahead on these things. And the notion of unifying the country and bringing us all together, which was kind of the whole concept of the Biden for president campaign, I don't see that happening. And these people, as you say, are doubling down and tripling down and trying to push as much stuff through as they can at highest speed possible, while they have all of their stars aligned in their favor.
Deroy, let me ask you this about H.R. 1, since we're talking about it. That law would, at a federal level, codify into permanent law a lot of the things that were temporary in 2020 for that particular election. If that were to happen, or we can go the other way, if that hadn't have happened in 2020, do you think that we would be looking at a different presidency right now?
Absolutely. Look, if we had been lucky enough not to have the accident at the Wuhan laboratory, or the deliberate release of this stuff, or the people eating bat soup, whatever the cause, if that hadn't happened and we didn't have the COVID-19 catastrophe, I think President Trump would have been reelected with the economy thriving, without all the lockdowns, without all the chaos. I don't think the George Floyd riots would have erupted, because people would not have had this sense of, gee, I've been indoors for 60 days, I need to run out in the street and create chaos. And I think he would have been reelected, be in the White House now, probably figure out another way to add the 6th or 7th or 8th Middle East peace deal, continuing to deregulate, increase the moves towards school choice, the economy to be thriving. The unemployment rate would probably now be somewhere around, 3.2% or something like this. And, America would be great again. Instead, we're going in the opposite direction. And a big part of the reason we did is on a temporary basis, as you say. We had mass mail-in ballots. We had people getting absentee ballots who didn't have to explain why they were going to be absent on election day. Ballot harvesting, unsupervised drop boxes where people could drop ballots off at 4, 5, 6 in the morning when nobody's looking. No vote, no photo ID. Ballots showing up a week, 10, 12, 14 days after the election, and on and on and on, and all these awful things that took place. And as you say, to whatever degree there might have been some need for this when people were too scared to go to the polls because of COVID-19, we're going to be well beyond this pandemic by November of 2022. So there's no excuse for this. And yet the Democrats are trying to take those temporary emergency measures and basically shoehorn them into the U.S. code so that they're forever. And we always will have ballot harvesting and no photo ID and the drop-off boxes and all these other terrible things. And as you say, the idea here is basically to make it as easy as possible for the Democrats to steal the election, do so legally, and remain in power, probably for the rest of our lives, and turn this into a one-party state. That's what they want. They're moving at it at high speed. And everyone who's hearing this broadcast needs to get in touch with your senators and tell them to defeat H.R. 1 or S1, which is the companion measure in the Senate, and do everything you can to make sure that this bill does not get onto President Biden's desk, because if it does, they're going to remake elections and not make them great again, but make them terrible forever.
I was reading a tweet, and I'm trying to find out whose tweet it was, because it was so well worded, suggesting the possibility that Joe Manchin and the other individuals like him that are in the Senate are really being given a gift here in the opportunity where the House adds things to these bit. You just differentiated between H.R. 1 and S.R. 1, where the House has the ability to make something a little more progressive. It can go to the Senate, and then, much like with the stimulus bill, Joe Manchin helped lead the charge between making the qualifications a little slimmer for people to get these checks. And that was something that Joe Manchin championed. Do you find that to be an intentional act where Joe Manchin gets to be the hero for his folks by negotiating these things down from being a little less radical than they come out of the House? Is that something that they know of ahead of time, you think, where it's kind of set up where they put the ball in the tee, the House sends something over, Joe, you're going to be able to pull this back a little bit, take the credit for it, and we still get what we want?
Well, that's a very good point. It's an excellent tactic because it does a couple things. One is it lets the super far left people in the House, like AOC and the Squad and so on, put in all kinds of crazy stuff. Then Manchin gets to come in and say, okay, well, let's take out these three totally bonkers things, and that makes him look like a centrist and a moderate and all that. And then that gives him cover to say, okay, well, I move the bill towards the center, so now I can vote for it, and then it goes through. And he can pretend to be a moderate when he's just being maybe 10% less crazy than the rest of them. I guess from a tactical standpoint, that's probably a smart way for them to be able to try to get legislation through. But the fact is, the stuff that is getting through is not moderate. There was nothing moderate about this $2.1 trillion. I guess I'm sorry, it was $1.9 trillion spending plan that went through a couple weeks ago. Now we have an infrastructure bill coming through, which has a lot of stuff that does not have anything to do with bridges, tunnels, roads, and airports. Now they're talking about social infrastructure, which I guess is basically another way of saying welfare spending. And I imagine that Joe Manchin will take a few things out, and maybe say, okay, we've moved it from the 1 yard line to the 5 yard line, and so now it's a little bit more moderate. So he'll vote for it, and all this stuff will fly through. And by the way, if he votes to kill Gingrich made a very good point the other night, which was that if Manchin folds and votes to kill the filibuster, that won't be his last tough vote. That will be his first tough vote, because what will happen is that all of these terrible measures will come through, and these guys will have to take positions on him, and he's going to put a lot of potentially vulnerable Democrats in a situation where they can't sort of say, well, the House voted for it, but we didn't bring it up in the Senate. They'll vote on these things, and they'll be in a position where they're going to have a long vote record of voting for really, really bad stuff like DC Statehood, Puerto Rican Statehood, Green New Deal, HR 1, et cetera. And it's just going to create, put targets on their backs for November 2022 and even beyond that. So, as I say, careful what you wish for.
Deroy Murdock, Fox News contributor, on the phone with us. Speaking of these legislation, issues and how they're going to get through Congress, we've got a tremendous influx of illegal immigrants coming to the country right now. Every expert we talk to on foreign policy or border patrol issues that we just did earlier today, they all say this is being done deliberately, that this is a political tactic to get more and more people into the country that they can make into Democrat voters. Do you think that that's going to be possible in 2 years to turn this policy position on immigration into Democrat votes?
I think that's exactly what's going on here. I see these folks coming across the border, and I collectively call them future Democrats of America, capital FDA. I think that's exactly what's going on. These people figure, look, these kids might be 10 or 12 years now, but 10 or 12 years old now, but give them, 6 or 8 years when they turn 18, and they're going to push for, DACA 2.0, DACA 3.0. Oh, they came across here, they were sent by their parents. It really wasn't their decision. Gee, we feel sorry for them. They're more American than we are, so let's let them vote. And I guess the view is that they figure if they came in under Biden, these people are either going to be all Democrat or 70, 80% Democrat. And especially if they stay in a place like Texas, and you've got, I'm hearing 1 million people coming across the border this year. If you can add an extra 100, 200, 300,000 Democrats in a place like Texas, yeah, that makes a big difference in 2022 or 2024. I don't know if they'll be able to get these people naturalized that quickly and give them voting cards in 2 years or 4 years. But I think that's the long-term goal. And the Democrats, I'll give them credit for this. They play the long game. They may figure, okay, this is going to take 6 or 8 or 10 or 12 years, but sooner or later, these people will become Democrats. They're going to vote Democrat, and you're going to have all these more Democrats in there, particularly in states that very often vote Republican, like Arizona and like Texas, and move them left. I think that's exactly what these people are doing. I think that's the full intention here. That's why they've thrown the border wide open. That's why they're willing to tolerate, I think yesterday, a 9-year-old baby drowning in the Rio Grande. Too bad for her. She's dead now. But if that's the price it takes to bring in a bunch of future Democrats of America, that's the price these horrific, awful, malevolent Democrats are willing to pay.
It's so true. And the attention is not paid to those things because it's inconvenient for them. Fox News contributor Deroy Murdock, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here today.
Great to be with you. Talk to you soon. Bye now.
Bye-bye. Deroy Murdock there. You see him on Fox News here and there and everywhere, and with us each Wednesday. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Tim Jones is going to join us, and I'm going to ask him a little bit about the quieting, the hushing of Donald Trump. You see, Donald Trump sat down with an interview with Laura Trump. I guess it was supposed to air last night. They were going to put it on Facebook. Facebook won't even allow Donald Trump's presence on their platform, and they blocked him from it. Does this turn Donald Trump into an even bigger entity than he already is? Is the quieting of Donald Trump, the removing him from center stage, which he happily will take at any time it is provided to him, or he's able to storm the castle and put himself on center stage? Is this giving people a bigger opportunity to remember the good days and forget the bad when it comes to President Trump? Especially when you look at the border being one of the key issues that got him elected in 2016. I'm going to ask Tim Jones about that when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Sometimes old ideas aren't good, they're just old. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that education should only take place in person in an assigned public school. The pandemic has shown that's not good enough. Reform is needed to give parents choices to get their children the best education available. One great option is education savings accounts, or ESAs. The money the state would normally pay to your child's public school would go into an account that you control. You would be able to access the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, or other approved uses. You can use that money to tailor your child's education. ESAs would put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the student and not buildings. Let's help parents find an education that fits the needs of their child. Learn more in our 2021 Missouri Blueprint. Moving Missouri forward at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hi, I'm Andrea at Best Buy Flooring. Did you know we're the best kept contractor secret? With the huge inventory of carpet, tile, laminate, hardwood, and vinyl, we're the metro area's largest in-stock dealer. No need to go to those big box stores. Our prices and service can't be beat. Why wait weeks for installation? We have everything contractors love, and right now we'll give you low pricing and pay your sales tax. This means extra cash in your pocket. Visit us in Hazelwood, Missouri, and O'Fallon, Illinois. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy Flooring.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a cash-out refi? It's using the equity in your home to pay off high-interest credit cards. Paid it off! Yes! I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. With mortgage rates at a record low 1.875%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next two payments. You'll pay nothing out of pocket, and we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Eliminating debt means putting your dreams back on the table today.
Updated bathroom?
Updated bathroom and a pool table?
Don't push it, Rick.
Get started with our fast and easy zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. 111 Westport Plaza, St. Louis, Missouri.
Odyssey is here, cheering on your teams right alongside you. Sometimes that's your favorite team, and sometimes it's the rival team, but you bet them to win. Let BetQL's expert analysis lead you to more cheering and more winning. BetQL looks at every game and every potential bet and ranks them on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. Their 5-star bets are your most profitable opportunities and have shown real proven results. Get better at betting. Download the BetQL app or visit BetQL.com. BetQL, an Odyssey company.
No pain, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Never paint again with Rhino Shield.
Listen to what a couple of happy customers have to say.
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted. Our building was really faded. You came out, you gave me all of these options that would fit my building. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
What a wonderful job they did. It's beautiful. They were very thoughtful, kind, considerate guys. Appreciate all the work that these two young men did.
Call Rhino Shield, 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The latest local forecast and severe weather coverage you can count on from the name in St. Louis weather.
This is 97.1's Chief Meteorologist, Dave Murray.
On 97.1 FM Talk. Powered by Air Comfort Service.
The bipartisan administration will also redouble our efforts to support journalists, human rights defenders, anti-corruption activists, labor union organizers, and other advocates around the world who put everything on the line to defend human rights. When these people come under attack, they often look to the United States to speak up on their behalf. Too often in recent years, these defenders heard only silence from us. President Biden says that America is back. We are back for those brave advocates as well. We will not be silent.
We will not be silent, says the Biden administration. That's Secretary Blinken, who I cannot say his name without thinking of Robin Hood Men in Tights, because
I hear you.
Blinken is one of the characters there, and he's a blind man, and it's funny Mel Brooks movie. And it makes me, it's like the little things that you have to do to get through the daily news. It's like, wait a second, I'm going to my happy place. And it involves Robin Hood Men in Tights. Just give me one moment. Talking about how the Biden administration will not be silent. Interesting that they have had to completely, entirely, and totally silence the Trump administration from being able to have platforms. You know, they're talking about how they support reporters there in the beginning. Donald Trump, the previous president of the United States, has no outlet. He's going to have to create his own, and says he's probably going to. But just imagine if the things that these people were saying could go challenged by the people who daily, hourly, minutely criticize Donald Trump with lies, honestly. Tim Jones probably has something to say.
He's a righteous dude.
No one changed the channel. This is the Annie Fry Show. I promise.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
You know, I brought you Outlander.
I'm a very stable genius.
Brought to you by Arrowhead Building Supply.
You know, Tim, when you're promoting people not to change the channel for the Annie Fry Show, and I hear Ryan's like nervous laughter that just follows that, it makes me wonder what goes on when I'm not here. But I'm always appreciative when you are.
Ryan has lots of nervous laughter when I'm in there. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah.
I don't ever know what's going to happen. It makes me worried for Annie's sake.
It's still the Annie Fry Show, at least for today.
He's a good wingman, that's for sure. Yes.
Tim, I wanted to ask you, you know, you listen to Secretary Blinken there saying that he's going to, you know, push against these human rights violations, saying they won't be silent, and criticizing the prior administration for, I guess, what they consider to be silence on human rights issues. It's hard to juxtapose those things all together, and frustrates me that the criticism that comes of the Trump administration, that they've silenced Donald Trump in the effect of being able to defend himself or to even push back a little bit on some of these criticisms. What do you think about that?
You know, Annie, it's so rich anytime the Biden administration starts lobbing criticisms out, because they really need to look in the mirror as to their own failings. What about the humanitarian crisis that Joe Biden literally invited at our southern border? I mean, I don't know if I'd go so far as to call them human rights violations, but he's created a humanitarian crisis that needs to be addressed.
that he's not only ignoring, but he's doing what a lot of dictators in third world countries and banana republics and do, and that's to prevent the media from covering these stories. Annie, there was a time when Democratic administrations used to pride themselves on their openness and their transparency at making sure they followed all the precepts and principles and the philosophy behind the First Amendment. We now have a Democratic Party that has been overtaken not by the traditional liberals of old. I'm talking about like the Alan Dershowitzes, the Professor Jonathan Turleys, even the Bill Maher's, right, who understand what civil liberties are, right, and are appreciative of all those liberties granted to us and those freedoms under our First Amendment, Second Amendment, and beyond. These are people who have drifted so far to the left that they're not liberal anymore; they're leftist. And we don't throw that around just as some goofy pejorative. We seriously mean it. What do leftists embody? They embody authoritarianism. They embody control. They embody force. Example A, Exhibit A, as I used to say back in my attorney days, is what is being done to prevent the media in this country, even liberal media outlets, from exercising their First Amendment rights of a free and fair press to examine what's going on at the border. They finally let some cameras in, but it's very controlled. It's a very tight environment, right? And so, I think that, before the Biden administration before they continue to, assault everything, quote, orange man bad, I think they need to look in the mirror at some of the transgressions they're creating. And I wonder, will this criticism be leveled at one of the world's largest and chiefest human rights violators on the planet? That would be communist China. Or is Joe Biden and his son and his family so far under the covers with communist China that they can't let anybody peek under there because they wouldn't like what they would see?
Tim, with the question still out there, obviously 2024, will Trump try to run again? With the silencing of him, the absence makes the heart grow fonder is a very real thing. And if Donald Trump was out there every day launching tweets left and right to try to counter everything, I think it would give people that didn't really love him so much a reminder of why they maybe didn't support him in this previous election. But comparatively speaking, the policies that are coming out of the Biden administration to the success that we were having under the Trump administration, it seems to me like they're potentially making him even bigger than he could make himself by keeping him at bay, limiting him, making him restrained, that he could come back even bigger and better.
Yeah, you know what, Annie? It's interesting because we have just enough of Donald Trump right now, right? There's not a complete vacuum anymore, is there? I mean, if you want to know what Donald Trump is doing, thinking, or saying, you can get access to it, right? There's the Save America PAC. There's the office of the 45th president. He literally, Annie, has set up an office, 45office.com. You can go to that website and you can see exactly what Donald Trump's doing. He's putting out statements, and many of his previous surrogates, they're tweeting for him. They're taking his statements and they're, how do you do that, Annie, where you take like a 2-page statement? And I'm a Twitterer guy, but how do you do that technology where you put a 2-page statement out on a tweet? I think that's really cool. Someone's got to teach me that someday. So
you got more to say.
They're doing those things, right? So there's just enough of Donald Trump out there to kind of whet the appetite, right? And you know what, Annie? A lot of people, they kind of like this more controlled, this more targeted, this more focused Donald Trump, right? Because he gets right to the message without a lot of the stuff around him that used to give CNN and MSDNC so much fodder, right? You get less of the personality, a little bit less of the bombast, right? He goes more directly. He's going to the policy issues. And Annie, I had a caller the other day on 97.1, and his name was Big Al, and he called in and he said, Tim, I've called the station many times before. I'm a former. So this is the kind of voter that Donald Trump brought over that has freaked out the Democrats so much that they're now importing a new voting bloc because they've lost the old voting bloc called American citizens and the working class, right? They're importing this new voting bloc of illegal immigrants. How racist of that, though, Annie, is to think that they think that all these illegal aliens are going to eventually become citizens and then vote for them, right? I think a lot of these folks are going to learn. A lot of Hispanic American voters tend to be more Republican the longer they're in this country. So maybe they'll get there what they ask for. And they'll all become Republican voters. But that aside, he's making statements just enough so people know what's going on, what he's doing, what his policies will be. And what Al said in this call was, Tim, a lot of people, they just had enough. He said, look, I'm a huge Trump supporter, but let me just say this. He said, people were getting, a lot of my friends were getting worn out by the Trumpism, right? By the personality. But now that he's gone, we're talking to each other and we're going, oh, good Lord, did we make a mistake? Anybody who said, I just need Donald Trump out of the way. Yeah, I just need a break from it. We made the wrong choice. Al said, I still voted for him, but a lot of my brothers and sisters, in the working classes, especially, a lot of suburban women, got a bit turned off and maybe voted for Biden thinking, we'll have a return to maybe a quieter, more boring time. The last 2 months have been anything but boring. They have been horrific. They've been terrifying. A lot of us are wondering when we're going to wake up from this really bad B movie and get back to some of that reality, which was America becoming great again. They don't like, a lot of these suburban women, they don't like what's going on in public schools. They don't like what's going on the border. They don't like the fact that there's massive tax hikes coming, Green New Deals, all this Pollyannish pie in the sky, radical left-wing socialism. They now realize what a big mistake they did. And Al said, they've all woken up. And he's like, what do we do? I said, well, there's not much we can do right now in the federal government except hold on tight and hope that Mitch McConnell has got a lot of parlor games up his sleeve to slow this radical agenda down. But, Andy, as you were just talking to Deroy in the last segment, some of the Democrats are waking up and they're realizing they can't just keep giving Joe Biden a blank check. I've heard that the first gun grabbing bill may be on ice because it's not going so well. And so maybe folks are realizing you can't lurch this far to the left and expect to have anything good come out of it. The Biden remorse is definitely there. I think President Trump, the kind of President Trump we have now, who's saying, hey, here's the alternative you could have if you put me back in office someday. We can fix all this stuff and we can get back on track. That may be the kind of methodology that may absolutely keep him at the top of his game.
Speaker Tim Jones, just listen to what you're talking about right now with the minds of voters and things. It's interesting because at this moment, we're still a good deal away, 18 months or more from the next election. So the average American, I wonder, we talk about politics obviously all the time, but the average American, are they engaged enough to know what the Biden administration is doing right now, especially with a compliant media? Are they engaged enough to know that they've kind of been had on some of the issues that they might have voted for?
Some are, Ryan, but I will agree that it is a smaller percentage than I would like. There is, let's just be honest, there are super informed voters. There's some voters that are medium informed. There's some that are not at all. I don't say that in a disparaging way. People are busy, right? I love what we get to do, right? I'm a political junkie. I'm a public policy junkie. I love to follow the news. I love to get on the Twitters, the other social media. I love to know what people are doing, thinking, saying. I like being involved in the process. I like being, even though I'm not in elected office anymore, very involved in the political world, in the public policy world. Sometimes I like the public policy world better than the political world. I like talking about ideas that are going to make things better. A lot of people don't have that luxury, right? They're raising families. They're running their businesses. They're very busy. But Ryan, I think all voters are realizing certain things that are happening, Ryan. They're realizing that when they go fill their gas tank up nowadays, it's costing a bit more, isn't it? And then they go, well, wait a minute. What is the price per gallon? Holy cow. When did that happen? When did we get to $3 per gallon? Why is that happening? And they're starting to wonder. And if they dig at all, they realize it's because we're losing some of our energy independence. It is because of the policies of the Biden administration. People are doing their taxes right now, right? We got a 1-month extension, so they're going to be thinking about taxes a little longer this year until they have to file. And maybe they'll start wondering, well, wait a minute. Taxes. Joe Biden's talking about taxes. A lot of people are my taxes going to go up next year? Here's how much I'm paying this year. I really don't want to pay anymore. I'm just not coming out of this pandemic. They're thinking about COVID, right? Are we ever going to reopen everything? Wait a minute. The numbers are way down. Why is Joe Biden saying we got to put masks back on again? Holy cow, there's kids in California that are still shuttered up in their rooms, but we're teaching the children of illegal aliens live? Wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. So, Ryan, I think there's enough big news out there that people are seeing there's a difference between where this country is right now and where we were just 3 months ago.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Tim Jones, great to have you back here with us on the Annie Fry Show. We'll be tuning in Sunday, 7 to 9 p.m. for the Tim Jones Show. Encourage people to follow you on Twitter at Speaker Tim Jones. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Annie. Thanks, gang. Talk to you again soon.
All right. Bye-bye. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about parenting. A lot of people commenting on the live chat right now regarding, where the disconnect that might exist of what Tim was just talking there about who knows what and what issues end up getting the attention of people who aren't, I'll sum up what he said, what he referred to himself as, and I will put myself gladly in that category with him. Political nerds, people who pay attention to this stuff because it's where you nerd out. People are sports nerds. People are Broadway nerds, pop culture nerds. Well, if you're not a political nerd and you don't know what's going on, when does the politics of the world, of this country, actually pique the interest of people who are not paying attention? And when it comes to parenting, I asked this question when I posted the live broadcast online today for the show. Are we raising a harder generation or a softer generation? And what's the ramifications for what we are doing right now as parents? I'd love to hear from you. You can give us a comment on our Facebook Live, Annie Fry Show Facebook page, or the Annie Fry YouTube page, or you can call us at 314-241-9797. Quick break, right back with more Annie Fry Show.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign up your veteran for their honor flight today at gslhonorflight.org. For free HVAC estimates, visit aircomfortservice.com.
You know Diamonds Direct always has the best selection of precious diamonds. But right now, in the aftermath of 2020's challenges, it's better than ever before. Diamonds Direct stayed strong and aggressive, working with diamond cutters around the world, finding exceptional values. The result? A spectacular selection of new, rare, precious diamonds, offered at prices you never thought possible. We never let anything stop us from our mission to get you the diamond of your dreams. Diamonds Direct.
Rudy Beck, Jay Lennox, and Carolyn Diker at Beck & Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law have a proven track record of success in helping people exactly like you resolve your long-term care concerns. Do you know how very expensive long-term care planning can be, especially if you don't accommodate for it? Most of us don't have money hanging out in a tree in a backyard that's going to continually supply the funds that are needed for that cost of care. Beck & Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law is there to help you with this problem and prepare. And they have done this for so many people listening to this show and this station in St. Louis, and they want to help you as well. They have a huge success rate at making sure that they've successfully submitted over 3,000 Medicaid applications for nursing home care. So if this is something that you see in your future, if this is something you want to address for yourself, for your spouse, or if you're looking to help your parents out, make sure you reach out to Beck & Lennox Estate Planning and Elder Law and get your appointment scheduled today. They will be so glad to help you. Mention the Annie Fry Show when you call 636-946-7899. That's 636-946-7899. You can find them online right now at beckelderlaw.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Legacy Box, the fun and effortless way to have your aging tapes, films, and photos digitally preserved for generations. I know I have boxes of videos and pictures sitting in my basement, and there are a lot of great memories from when my kids were younger because, let's face it, we weren't using our cell phones as much back then. Legacy Box helps bring new life to old media by unlocking all those trapped memories and putting them in modern digital formats that's easy to use. So I'm just getting started with Legacy Box, getting ready to unpack those tapes and boxes, sending it in for transformation, and it couldn't be easier to use. All you really have to do is pack up the box and send it in. The Legacy Box team then creates a digital archive by hand. Then you get your new copy sent back to you on the cloud, a thumb drive, or DVD, along with your original pictures and recordings. Legacy Box just surpassed 1 million customers. And in celebration of that milestone, Legacy Box is offering 50% off for all 97.1 listeners. Go to legacybox.com/Mark to get started. Take advantage of 50% off. That's legacybox.com/Mark. Save 50% while supplies last.
So here's a perfect example of why you go see Dr. Korte Solman for something that doesn't seem that serious. My little daughter, Phoebe, she's 16. I got to stop saying little daughter. I'm going to get in trouble from her. Anyway, she is playing lacrosse and she has always had trouble with her joints, mostly her ankles. Skating, ice skating when she was younger, volleyball, softball, her ankles always hurt her. And this from lacrosse, she was just in agony. So we took her to see Dr. Korte Solman. He did an x-ray, didn't look weird. He said, you know what? Let's be careful. Let's do an MRI. And the MRI showed that she had like over 10 stress fractures over both of her feet. So no wonder she was in agony. She literally was playing on broken feet. Now she's resting and getting therapy and will be good to go maybe by the end of the season. But there you go. There's a real life example from my real life how Korte Soman helped out. 314-442-4452, SomanOrthopedics.com.
If you've listened to 97.1 FM Talk, you have heard of Doug Voss of Voss Financial Safe Money Radio, as he has been a staple on the station as the financial expert for many years. You can hear him on Safe Money Radio several times a weekend on 97.1 FM Talk, and in case you miss any of those shows, on his podcast on radio.com. That's radio.com, and search Safe Money 97.1. So call Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That is 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through D.H. Hill Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
The Mark Reardon Show.
It's not irresponsible, reckless, or outrageous for a parent or anyone who sits back and says, I'm not so sure. I want to be safe, but I'm not so sure about this vaccine.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. I'm a huge fan of reading columns that are like Dear Abby kind of columns, or Miss Manners specifically. I love reading stories about people who are like trying to figure out what was the right thing to do in this situation, or what's the right way to handle this situation. And I'm going to read this one. It's from Ask Amy. I'm reading it from mercurynews.com. It's the headline is Ask Amy. My mom calls me selfish when I request quiet so I can sleep. Dear Amy, my mom and I generally have a good relationship, but she does one thing that is really inconsiderate. I'm a light sleeper. I normally wake up around 9 a.m. My mom is a very active person and insists on exercising every morning before she goes to work. Because gyms have closed, she has resorted to running on her home treadmill in the mornings. However, since the room with the treadmill she runs on is right beneath my bedroom, her loud running wakes me up from my sleep. I pointed out that she can run outside or run on the treadmill at other times of the day, but she insists on her current routine. I asked my dad to talk to her, but he is afraid that she will explode with anger. I have tried to make compromises by asking her to run only at 8 a.m., but she will not budge, and she often runs at 7 a.m. In response, she screams at me saying that I am, quote, not the only person who lives in this house, end quote. I am a college student. I need adequate rest in order to do well in school. With her disrupting my sleep, I am often tired and unable to focus well on my studies. I feel it is common decency for people to respect others' sleep. How can I form an agreement with my mom without me sacrificing my sleep? Now, I have a few thoughts on this because I've already read this, and I read what Amy, who is the host of this article, or column, I should say. When I'm reading that to you, especially like the first half of it, what are some questions that you have about the situation?
Are you paying rent? Yes. You know, what's the situation here with
how
your
old
parents?
are you?
Yes. Yeah. What
are you a high schooler who decided to take up your problems with Ask Amy? What are there any other things that you were going, I need to know this or this?
What was the tone of the conversation? Because to me, whenever you're reading this, Annie, it sounds like she came to this as like, let's have a discussion. Let's have a compromise. But is that actually the tone of what happened when you asked your mom about this? So that's, I mean, age, the whole thing.
Yeah, I want to know more about like just in the first half anyway. I'm like, okay, what's your situation? Why do you have to sleep till 9 every day? Is it that you have a couple babies that are keeping you up all night? If so, that's a situation. But if it's you just want to sleep till 9, you know, that changes things a little bit.
If you're a college student living in your parents' house, haven't you already conceded like the idea that you have to be there? Like this, at this point, it's a courtesy.
Mm-hmm.
I would even say, even if you were paying rent, it is still, and most kids wouldn't be, it is still a courtesy to be living under your parents' house
And that's what led me to ask this question that I posted on our Facebook Live and our YouTube Live when we post that probably 15, 20 minutes before the show starts every day. The idea that she says she needs to have a good night's sleep and she needs to sleep till 9 a.m. so she does well in school. This girl is not equipped for the real world right now. Like, she needs to get kicked out and to suffer the consequences of reality a little bit, because she is in trouble. And I look at this, the suggestion that somehow or another, living under her parents' roof, like 9 a.m. is not early. It's earlier than some people might like to get up. It's earlier than I like to get up if I have a say in the matter, which I don't usually necessarily. But to suggest and to write a letter to a column to be like, how do I handle my mom in this situation? So I'm going to read to you the response, because it's a good one. Asking your mother to run at a later time in the morning is not a compromise. It is merely you asking her to change. Now, there's more to this, but I thought that was that is such an applicable response to so many things that are going on right now. Every conversation we have about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez or any type of political issue, and the division, the deep divide that exists between any two parties in a political argument, it's from where I sit, it feels like the college student who's still living in my house going, no, you need to exercise at this time, or this time, because that would be a compromise that would work for me, which requires no sacrifice on the person's part who's requiring this compromise to take place in the first place. So she goes on, a compromise would be you agreeing to go to bed an hour earlier if she would agree to run an hour later. Your hardworking mother is trying to take care of herself. You are responsible for your own health and well-being. And so the most obvious solution would be for you to adjust your sleeping hours the way you would if you lived next to a construction site where they started jackhammering at 7 a.m. If you went to bed earlier and started the day feeling rested, you might find those early morning hours were among the best for your day. I guarantee you it never even occurred to this writer to ask Amy that she should make a change in her life. And like, to suggest to her, well, maybe you need to go to bed an hour earlier would probably offend her. But my suggestion would be to the mother, you need to tell her to move out. She needs to understand what it means to pay rent. And if she wants low rent, she's probably going to be living next to a jackhammering construction site or something that is obnoxious, or a place that has thin walls. I did it. And the idea that a person in a generation, she doesn't speak for an entire generation of college students, but that you would write to a columnist to say, tell me how to handle my mother in this. And the irony is just so far over your head. The response is like, what I need to tell you has nothing about how much sleep you're getting. In fact, you're going to get a lot less because you're going to need to get 2 jobs to pay the rent in a dump that's not going to be anywhere near as nice as your parents' house is. Is that in that essence, then, is her lack of understanding of reality partially the fault of her parents? Are they enabling it?
I listened to something like this, and my parents were real tough. But at that age, let's just say she's 19 or 20, I felt like, I mean, unpopular opinion, I can definitely relate to this writer. I would never write in and be like, dear Abby, tell me what I need to do, because my parents would kick my butt. But in my mind, I remember having conversations with my parents and me just like throwing a fit and being really fussy about things not going my way. And my parents always being like, tough, that's the way it's going to be. And if you don't want to be here, then don't be here. So I remember having those conversations, but those conversations were important because my parents led them. They said to me, Katie, you're only 20. You don't know anything about anything, and you're here in the basement. So deal with it. So to me, whenever I hear this, I am like, a lot of that responsibility has to be the 2 adults raising the other adult and saying, this is the real world, honey, and this is what you're going to live in. I just...
If parents choose not to teach their children about reality, about the real world will still teach your children about reality and the real world if they ever get into it. So if you want to have a 45-year-old living in your basement telling you when you can and cannot exercise on your treadmill in your house, this is what you're signing up for.
But to think, the idea of pulling out all the stops, do we help our kids deal with hardships? Do we help our kids know that hardships are inevitable, predictable even, and to understand how to healthily, emotionally, and mentally handle the tough stuff when it comes to you? Or do we pave the way for them? Do we make sure that we take 5, 6, 10 steps ahead of them at all times? And if a hardship comes rolling down, you do everything in your power. It doesn't matter who you have to steamroll or what you have to do to remove that hardship from that child because you want to protect them. Is that a portion of what creates Ask Amy, my mom is exercising and it's keeping me from sleeping till 9 a.m. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. I think it's both of those things, Annie, because it's always situational. It depends on the age of the kid. Everything that comes along, you kind of handle a little bit differently, and you handle with a dose of both of those things. But this one in particular just sounds to me like a really typical 19-year-old college student just complaining. It's just that she chose to write in about it. I think your point, though, that this applied to a 19-year-old college student is one thing. Applied to the general society, it's a much bigger deal that we have adults acting this way now.
Katie Mama Bailey finds out you wrote a seeking help column to talk about her bad exercise habits. How's Mama Bailey?
Everything is out of my room in the garbage can, and my mom will make me root through the garbage bin, which she has done twice to me to get my stuff. Oh yeah, my mom don't play, and that is all of my stuff would be in the garbage bin.
Well, I'd love to hear what you think. Comment for us on our Facebook Live or the YouTube Live. We love reading your thoughts, and we'll put them up here on the screen over the break. Stick around when we come back. Amy Korte is going to talk to us from Illinois Policy Institute about potential relief for Illinois property taxpayers. Whew, sounds good. Stick around.
All the audio that matters to you is on Odyssey. Odyssey has news that hits home in your local area and around the country. Get local news, traffic, and weather from stations near you. Get national news from CNN, Fox News Radio, and more. And explore the biggest news podcasts like The Daily Punch, Pod Save America, and The Daily, AUDACY. Find all the news that matters to you in a universe of audio. Odyssey.
Hey guys, Glover here for my good friends, and they are my good friends, George and Mike, the owners of ThrottleNet, the IT place. Let me right out of the chute give you throttlenet.com/971 because I really think you're going to want to go at least check out the website. Here's the deal. They do comprehensive IT. They do everything from protection, from ransomware and phishing schemes, which, by the way, have gotten so much worse since most of our workers are working from home. It's so much easier to infiltrate your company through a home computer. We take care of all of that. We maximize your profits and we minimize your expenses through IT. The industry standard in St. Louis is 3 hours from the time you contact your IT provider and say, I've got a problem. It takes them 3 hours to get back to you. In 2020, the average for ThrottleNet was 1 minute and 57 seconds. I think that says a lot. We have continuing webinars going on. Check them all out at throttlenet.com/971.
The spirit of community is alive and well here. The beautiful grounds, the wonderful food. It's the home I've always wanted. The community I've always dreamed of. Those aren't my words. Those are the words of current residents of the Gatesworth, the St. Louis region's exceptional senior living community. And their words say it all. The Gatesworth is now welcoming new residents and would love to get to know you. Call 314-993-0111 or visit them online at thegatesworth.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Zero Res Carpet Cleaning, and Zero Res is coming along with the Mark Reardon Show over to 97.1 FM Talk to support me and my listeners, so that's exciting. If you have not heard about Zero Res and some of the special deals, let me get you on board right here because your carpets are a mess right now. You probably haven't had them cleaned for a while. Certainly, if you haven't had them cleaned, this is the time to do it. Even if you do clean your carpets on a regular basis, think about the winter that we just experienced. A lot of gunk out there from that cold stretch, the salt, the other nastiness that probably came into your house, especially like I do. I have dogs. You just never know what they're bringing in. So let's do something about it with a great offer from my friends at Zero Res right now. 3 rooms of carpet, Zero Resified, starting at just $119. You got to do it right now. Take $50 off the air duct cleaning, Book today, 474-2020. You can also do it online. Make sure you mention the Mark Reardon KFTK special. 3 rooms starting at $119. 474-2020. ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backwards or forwards, it spells the same.
KFTK FM Florissant, driven by the Bomarito Automotive Group, 97.1 FM Talk.
An Odyssey station.
It's like a COVID flashback. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. Remote learning and a nationwide lockdown in France, where the president has just given a primetime address warning they'll lose control if they don't act now, announcing a 3-week school closure and domestic travel ban amid a surge of COVID that U.S. health officials are watching nervously, since the U.S. has followed a similar trajectory to Europe's battle with COVID, and U.S. cases are already back on the rise.
We continue to see an increase, and this is almost a 12% increase from the 7-day period prior.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says hospitalizations are up too, and she expects numbers to keep rising if people don't follow safety guidelines, appealing again for states that ended mask mandates to bring them back. Day 3 of testimony in the trial of a former Minneapolis police officer in the death of George Floyd.
The state presented more video surveillance, and we heard more eyewitness testimony from former Cub Foods clerk Christopher Martin, who accepted Floyd's fake $20 bill last May, which led to a confrontation with Floyd, a call to police, and to Floyd's death.
What was going through your mind during that time period?
Disbelief and guilt.
Why guilt?
If I would have just not taken the bill, this could have been avoided.
This before the case dives into police use of force versus training, the autopsy, the cause of death, and who's responsible for it. Former officer Derek Chauvin has pled not guilty to murder and manslaughter charges. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
President Biden is set to unveil a $2 trillion plan aimed at re-engineering the nation's infrastructure, in part to help meet climate goals. But part of the funding would come from raising the corporate tax rate from 21 to 28%, already drawing pushback from Republican lawmakers and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, warning it could slow economic growth and job recovery. America is listening to Fox News.
There are new forms of the coronavirus, just what we needed, right?
Yeah. So we wondered, are we doing enough to protect ourselves and our son?
Turns out we are, because things like well-fitted masks, 6 feet of space, avoiding crowds,
all of that still works. And getting vaccinated, when it's our turn.
COVID may not be letting up,
but neither are we.
We can do this. Learn more at cdc.gov/coronavirus. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
What do you get when you talk to a Dell Technologies advisor? You get someone who understands there's an art to listening, who's able to hear more than what's being said, and can provide tailored small business solutions that make you feel truly heard.
I understand. Let's get started.
For advice on everything from laptops to the cloud and solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor today at 877-ASK-DELL.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Weather with Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Partly to mostly sunny skies with us the rest of the afternoon, but it stays breezy and it's certainly cooler than the last couple of days. Temperatures in the low 50s. Tonight, clear and cold. There'll be a light freeze across the area. 29 for the low. Thursday, sunny and chilly. Then it's a nice stretch of weather. Friday, sunny, 60. Saturday, sunny, 68. And Sunday, sunny and 75. This is 97.1 FM Talk Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
It's time for the Mark Cox redistribution of wealth.
Can't we get the government involved somehow?
$1,000 is on the line. Want to win?
This hour's keyword is wild, kind of like me, wild and free. Text the word wild to 72881 by the end of the hour for your chance to win $1,000. Message and data rates apply. Don't text and drive. One national entry will be drawn. For complete rules, visit 971talk.com/rules. That's wild to 72881.
Presented by Indeed. Indeed has this hiring tool called Instant Match, and it really lives up to its name. Just post a sponsored job, and Indeed instantly searches millions of resumes in their database to immediately deliver the candidates that fit your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hello, Marvin Mitchell here from Compass Retirement Solutions. Did you know that the average 3-year CD rate in the area was less than 1%? That's why we are excited to offer you several accounts that are short-term and pay better than bank rates. For example, We currently have a 3-year account paying 2.4% and a 5-year account paying 3.5% per year guaranteed. What a great place for your lazy money. You know, the money that you don't plan to use for the next 3 to 5 years. Now, terms and conditions do apply. So for more information, call 314-373-1598. Again, call 314-373-1598. This is Marvin Mitchell, and we would like to put your lazy money to work for you. Call 314-373-1598.
Guarantees are backed by the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Rates can change without notice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory in Missouri and Illinois.
Purchasing a house, if you are looking in the market to get a house, have you looked at the Bagel Loan with Stewart's American Mortgage? This is a huge, huge opportunity right now for you to save a lot of money, especially in a super competitive real estate environment. When you use the Bagel Loan, which you can only get from Stewie at Stewart's American Mortgage, he's doing them for a minimum of $200,000 loans. He's lowered it to make it more accessible for more people. So if you want to do a home purchase and use the Bagel Loan for $200,000 or more on your loan, no lender fees as always with the Bagel Loan, but no closing costs, no title fees, no costs at all. This is crazy. Reach out to Stewie at 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Call Stewie and ask him about the Bagel Loan. If you owe more than $200,000 on your home and your interest rate's currently in the 3s, call Stewie today for a Bagel Loan refinance. You can get a lower monthly payment or keep your payment where it is right now. Shave months, probably years off the length of your loan. Only at Stewart's American Mortgage, 314-324-4440 and MLS number 226715.
Springtime is filled with special moments. Shane Company has a wonderful selection of fine jewelry to commemorate any occasion: a graduation, first communion, Easter, a new baby, or just to show your love. We have cross necklaces in a range of styles, from simple and understated to more decorative crosses, accented with diamonds, rubies, or sapphires. Pearls are also a classic gift. We have bracelets, necklaces, earrings, and rings made with lustrous cultured pearls in all their natural colors. At Shane Company, we're known for our vibrant sapphires, with over a dozen colors to choose from. How about a pendant necklace with a sapphire in a beautiful spring color, like lavender, peach, or any shade of blue? When you order online, we make it easy to send gifts with fast and free shipping. Your gift will be treasured for a lifetime and will let your loved ones know they're always in your heart.
Oh, you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and shaneco.com.
Radio.com is now Odyssey. Download the Odyssey app and listen to the Mark Cox Morning Show, plus all the news, sports, music, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
The Annie Fry Show is sponsored by Forensic IT, the tech experts that find the root cause of your technical problems. ForensicIT.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
Right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Happy Wednesday. We're excited that you have chosen to spend some of your Wednesday afternoon with us. A reminder, it's supposed to get really cold tonight, like a hard freeze type of a cold. So kick those furnaces on or get ready to and be prepared. And then the Easter weekend is supposed to be beautiful from what I understand. So I'll take the cold right now if we can get to some warmer weather, a nice sunny Easter Sunday. And it's interesting to me to see, I saw a report, I think it was with the National Weather Service, put it out there that this is the first time in 80 years that we haven't had a speck of snowflake of any kind in March.
Dang. That's
so
awesome.
an entire March. And I think I saw too, this is New York weather. So if I get this wrong, I don't think anyone's really going to be drastically affected by it. That there's like a 10-inch snowstorm coming towards a portion of New York State.
Ugh.
I am not okay with that.
No.
Tomorrow is April. And you know what that means, Katie? We're getting real close to Christmas.
I was so close this weekend to texting you a picture of the Christmas tree.
Did you take it down?
Not yet. I was going to take it down last weekend, but I wanted to get one final
What's
photo.
your hurry?
David was like, we said when we are moving, that's when we're taking it down. What are you doing? It's a week before. What are you thinking?
The real question is, are you going to move the Christmas tree into your new house?
Yeah.
No. That is a recommit.
No.
That is a recommitment to the fact that it is March 31st and your Christmas tree is still up.
No.
Easter is on Sunday.
David said, David
Put some Easter eggs on that
That's
thing.
what he's like. Why would you take down the Easter decoration?
It is an evergreen, so there's no reason why it shouldn't just be a nice house plant in your home. I'm surprised your cat has allowed it to stay that long.
He never messes with any kind of tree like that. Lucky.
Fantastic. Let's get to our guest. Amy Korte is joining us right now. She's with Illinois Policy Institute as the vice president of policy there. And anytime I see an article come out of Illinois Policy and it's talking about potential relief for Illinois taxpayers, specifically on property tax concerns, it piques my interest for sure. Amy, welcome back to the show. Good to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course. What can you tell us about this Citizens Empowerment Act and what it would mean for Illinois property taxpayers?
Well, Illinois has the second highest property taxes in the United States, which is not a badge of honor.
Right.
It's not a good kind of silver medal. And we are home to more than 6,000 units of government without school districts. That's not counting school districts. And those units of government all have to be paid for by property taxes. So the Citizens Empowerment Act would give taxpayers a chance to vote to dissolve or consolidate some of those many, many units of government to make things more transparent, get rid of overlapping and duplicative units of government, and to result in cost savings that could be passed along to taxpayers.
Illinois Policy's Amy Korte on the phone with us. I think we were just talking to you last week about something that had some similar elements to it anyway, of consolidating some of the school administrations around the state to help save some money that could be applied to property taxes as well. And there was bipartisan support for that. For this one, House bill, it looks like 433. What's the political makeup? Is there bipartisan support for this one?
Yes, there is. The original bill was filed by Jonathan Carroll, a Democrat up near Chicago suburbs in Northbrook, and it was also sponsored by Blaine Wilhauer from Effingham, who's a Republican. It is going to be carried in the Senate by Laura Fine, who's a Democrat. So this is definitely enjoying bipartisan support. And the initial idea came from a bipartisan commission that was in 2016, provided a bunch of recommendations for ways to streamline Illinois governments.
So, Amy, when we're looking at streamlining Illinois governments, what kind of consolidations are we talking about here? How do we take the massive amount of government structures that we have throughout the course of the entire state? Practically speaking, what's this look like?
Well, I'll give you an example from the Southern Illinois area. In 2016, the city of Belleville, the city council in Belleville, voted to consolidate the township of Belleville with the city of Belleville. They were not performing unique functions. There was no reason for the township to continue to exist separately from the city. It was its own unit of government with its own budget and payroll, but it was performing very minimal functions and nothing that couldn't be done by the city. So that was dissolved by the city council of Belleville. And so that was a coterminous township within the city limits. And this bill would allow taxpayers themselves, residents, to get a petition to put a referendum on the ballot so that all voters in the districts that would be consolidated could vote and say, do we want these two separate units of government, or do we want to consolidate them and streamline things? So this would affect townships, it would affect villages, cities, road districts, special districts like mosquito abatement districts and road districts, local units of government, but not school districts.
Where does the savings come in then for the taxpayer? Is it just in personnel?
It is certainly largely in personnel. All of those different units of government have their own layers of bureaucracy, administration, salaries, pensions that have to be paid. So if you can get some of these functions to just be performed by other units of government, like a county or a city, For example, mosquito abatement. Why couldn't the county do that in some areas instead of its own special taxing body with its own payroll? So a lot of those units of government could have their services performed just as well by a larger unit of government.
Amy Korte from Illinois Policy on the phone with us. When you mentioned the example of Belleville, it sounds like that some of these things could already happen without this bill. So you're saying that this bill just sort of runs an end around maybe some cities that wouldn't do it without the voters kind of taking it directly to the ballot. Is that correct?
Yeah, this bill gives voters themselves the ability to get a petition and get a referendum on the ballot. Right now, there's no direct way for all of these taxpayers throughout the state to directly propose this and get it on the ballot themselves. So this is definitely more power to actual taxpayers to affect how many levels of government they want to pay for.
So, Amy, where is this at right now in the process, and what do listeners who are emboldened by what they're hearing right now need to do to help encourage it?
Well, this bill is going to be carried in the Senate next. It was in the House and is in a House committee right now, but there's going to be a new bill in the Senate proposed by Laura Fine. So it's still a live bill, but your listeners can go to the Illinois Policy website at illinoispolicy.org and click Take Action. And there the bills are listed right there, and they can contact their lawmakers through that tool to tell them they think this is a great idea for taxpayer savings and they want their lawmakers to support it.
All right, Amy, thank you so much for the time today. We look forward to continuing to shine a light on some of these issues, especially where listeners who are voters can take action and be a part of a positive change in the state of Illinois when it comes to property taxes. I know that's a couple of words that get some people in the state of Illinois pretty motivated to do something. So we're grateful for your time today, Amy. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, we will do it again soon. Amy Korte is the Vice President of Policy at the Illinois Policy Institute, illinoispolicy.org. And I want to make sure that you check out the Lincoln Lobby on Facebook, which is where they talk about a lot of these issues, big and small. A lot of the Lincoln lobbyists who are there across the entire state have come from listeners of this show. So we put people, we recommend people check that out when you sign up to be in the Lincoln Lobby Facebook group. It'll ask you a few questions. Make sure you mention the Annie Fry Show, and they usually fast track your membership right in there. The property tax burden. I know, Katie, when you were shopping for a home in the state of Missouri, and I would occasionally send you one here or there in the state of Illinois, the home that you bought in Missouri is probably, the property taxes, comparatively speaking, were probably 50% less, maybe even more
wild
than what they would be in the state of Illinois. Of course, everybody always follows up with, well, what about personal property tax and so on and so forth? I assure you that the property tax burden facing Illinois residents is cumbersome enough to know that if you were to fast track paying off your mortgage, you're still going to massively have to rent your house from the state of Illinois year to year. And the real question that you have to ask yourself is, what are you getting for it? What aren't you getting for it? And the summation of property taxes, the vast majority of it goes towards education. You know, we've talked about in the state of California and San Diego, apparently, according to the Fox News alert that I just saw before, of course, I just cleared it off my screen, the teachers having a choice whether or not to teach their own students, the ones who are paying the property taxes there that fund the education that is paying for the education system, which includes the teachers, educating unaccompanied minors in San Diego in person, but not their own students that are of the families who are paying these property taxes. I mean, it's just like up is down. It really makes you crazy. So when you have to pay these enormous property taxes and you have to ask yourself, what is it exactly that we are getting for this? It becomes a massive frustration, especially if you're somebody who, you know, if you would like an alternative for your kid for education specifically. You know I send my kids to a Christian school, not because the public school system that I live in and contribute to is bad. It's actually fantastic. It's just important for me to put my kids in a Christian school. It's not everybody's priority, and I understand that, and I recognize that, and I'm also invested, and I think that I do understand the investment into an educated public. So it's not so much that I think that we shouldn't be paying for public education, but boy, the way we're doing it right now is basically 100% guaranteeing that it stays exactly the way it is. And the power is consolidated in the teachers' unions. It's not even consolidated with the teachers or
God forbid, the freaking students, the kids who need to be the ones who are at the epicenter of all of these decisions. Oftentimes when you hear people talking about public education, nobody even talks about the students. That's the real crime here. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, more to talk about on the show. We're going to get to what I missed at the end of the show. And I'm going back and forth on this Twitter battle that I had yesterday. That's how Katie relayed it on the show sheet here. I feel as though I don't feel as though I'm required to explain myself, but I feel compelled to maybe explain myself. And so I'll talk to you about that when we come back. Stick around. Story time in just a minute.
I know I gave it to you months ago. I know
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show.
But between the drinks and subtle
Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
I'm trying hard to take it back. So if by the time the bar closes and you feel like falling down, I'll carry you home. Tonight.
Tune in to Right at Home with Rich every Saturday from noon to 1 p.m. This Mosby Building Arts Home Show covers topics ranging from design and architecture to remodeling and home maintenance. For answers to all of your home questions, don't miss Right at Home with Rich, brought to you by Mosby Building Arts.
Is your vision of home not turning out quite the way you planned it? Let the experts at CertaPro Painters paint you a more colorful view. Get a free estimate today and let CertaPro Painters create your new dream space. Listening, prepping, and painting every wall while handling every detail worry-free. Times may have changed, but our trusted service and expertise remains the same. To get your painting project started, go to CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated.
Do you promise to love, honor, and cherish, forsaking all others?
I do.
I do.
And now, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you roommates. Go forth and...
That's not the vow you took. But if struggles with CPAP have you and your spouse sleeping in separate rooms, growing apart, and feeling more like roommates than loving partners, it might be time to look into Inspire. Inspire is the only FDA-approved sleep apnea treatment that works inside the body with just the click of a remote. That's right, just a button. There is no mask or hose and no need to sleep in separate rooms. If you are struggling with CPAP, great sleep awaits at inspiresleep.com. That's inspiresleep.com. Inspire. Sleep apnea innovation. No mask, no hose, just sleep.
Talk to your doctor to see if Inspire is right for you. Review important safety information at inspiresleep.com.
Take a moment and rate your lifestyle on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is a life that's nothing like the life you were promised after getting good grades, a college degree, and a good job in corporate America. 10 is the life of your dreams. If you answered anything less than a 10, tune into the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del, self-made millionaire and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, will show you how to live the life of your dreams and pay for it with passive income.
Tune in to the Del Walmsley Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. Weeknights at 7 on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. I've been warning our clients that IRS employees are back at work since mid-July, and their collection efforts have ramped up. Well, sure enough, it looks like it's happening. So if you have unfiled tax returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Tax resolution plans are based off your current income. So if your current income is less than normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this is precisely the time for the Lance Drury Law Firm to help you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURY law.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Tournament time is here, and you're definitely looking to throw down a bet or two. Let BetQL help you become a better bettor. BetQL analyzes every bet from every tournament game and ranks them all on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. Their 5-star bets are your most profitable opportunities and have shown real proven results. Look, your brackets might bust, but your bankroll doesn't have to. Visit BetQL.com/March today and start your own Cinderella story. That's BetQL.com/March.
More people are landing on 97.1 FM Talk every day. It's St. Louis's radio destination for information with perspective. 97.1 FM Talk, the place for ideas.
So listen up, here's the story about a little guy that lives in a blue world. And all day, not in everything he sees is just blue. Like him, inside and outside. Blue his house with the blue little window and the blue Corvette. And everything is blue for him and himself and everybody around. 'Cause he ain't got nobody to listen.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Happy Wednesday. So I make a habit. You can follow me on Twitter if you want to, at Annie Fry Show. If you want to follow me on Twitter and troll me, you get one tweet. I might even respond, and then I mute you. That's just the way it goes. My life goes on. I assume that yours does, but I don't know because you're muted. That's just kind of the way that I've decided that I can handle Twitter. The thing, the grotesque thing that is Twitter, it kind of feels like a necessary evil. I'm able to, really keep my finger on the thumb of, or on the pulse of what's going on in the world by looking at Twitter. But it comes with a lot of the nastiness and a lot of the grossness. So yesterday we were talking about, I don't even remember what we were talking about. Why did that one woman who said that she doesn't listen to us by choice, that her coworker listens to 97.1 all day and she has no choice in the matter? I don't remember.
Yeah, what the subject was.
She blocked me, so I can't see. I don't remember what the fight was about. Which, I mean, seriously, it's that fleeting for me. I don't take it personally. So when I'm going to tell you this little anecdotal story here, I don't want you to feel sorry for me, like I'm telling you this for pity. I'm actually telling this story because it's indicative of a culture that we're in, and I'm in a lose-lose situation according to the way other people might observe this, and I want to speak on it. So somebody had commented, and like I said, I can't see it because she blocked me, and I'm really sad about that. But I think that her coworker is still playing this in her office right now. So hello. Hi. we cannot speak to each other right now. I can speak to you, but I mean, you can't, So she said that all I talk about was her words were that I only talk about being a perfect breeder, which, Ryan, Katie, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't ever really remember ever identifying myself even as somebody who's good at pregnancy. Not so much. No. It's actually miserable.
The opposite.
And I don't like
I think you should change your Twitter name to Perfect Breeder.
No. I know. I was tempted. It was part of the promo that I want to do for the show. Have you listened to a Perfect Breeder from noon to 3? I mean, it's just a weird thing, but I feel like at least
I'll do it.
The initial hook would be to get people to listen, which is what it's all about. So in the midst of this person on Twitter, I'm not going to tell you who they are because I'm not going to put that person on that kind of blast. And I had said, we should make this a promo on Twitter or whatever. This person replied back, when you tune in, they usually hear a fill-in because you took yet another day off. So this is where we go from talking about what's happening at the border to what did Donald Trump do, or to what did freaking Matt Gaetz do or not do, or what's going on there. I don't know. That's what Twitter is for me. And people will say some heinously hurtful things. Like I've sent Katie some of the things that I would never even say to you, mostly because I can't say them because the FCC won't allow me to. Mm-hmm. So the suggestion that there's always a fill-in here on this show, I know I took off Monday. I'm telling you right now, I'm taking off Friday and Monday of this week because it's Good Friday and it's Easter Monday and my whole family is off. And I'm doing the show from home. It complicates the situation for me to be broadcasting from home. And it's Easter weekend, and I want to spend some vacation days with my kids and my family. So that's what I'm going to do. But to suggest that I'm taking a lot of days off, there's some things that this person doesn't know about me. And there's some things that they do know about me. If you listen regularly, whether you choose to or your coworker just won't stop listening to 97.1. Thank you, coworker. You know that I'm pregnant, you know that I'm expecting, and you probably know that it's been a tough pregnancy for me. I have to say that of the 4 pregnancies that I've had,
being able to work from home and to kind of control my schedule from home has made it so that I can work more than I have had when I was working a 40-hour at the office, sitting at a desk, going to and from. That was harder than this has been. So this is a blessing for me. But there are still things that occur during pregnancy that make it very hard to do a radio broadcast, like throwing up at random times and, throwing up going right into the show. I have actually been present. There've probably been, Katie, I don't know, you might remember more than me, maybe 2 times in the pregnancy so far that I've had to cancel day of because it wasn't going well.
And this was before you made the announcement that you were pregnant.
Yes.
This was times before you said on air, I'm pregnant. So,
and Katie knew, because I had to tell Kate. I didn't tell many people at all. I told Katie and I told my boss because I needed them to understand what was going on. And they've been amazing about it. So I have taken a few days off here and there. I do actually, because the company I work for, Odyssey, is fantastic, formerly Intercom. I have vacation days, which is just crazy that I have days that they give me that I can take. It's part of my contract. It's part of working as an employee for a company. I do have vacation days, and I use those days to spend time with my family. And I'm not sad about that, and I'm not apologizing for it. That's just the way life goes when you're a mom and you also work full time. So when person unnamed on Twitter says when people tune in, they usually hear a fill-in because you took yet another day off, and he says that to me the day after I was out on Monday. Here's the thing that you don't know. I had to take my son to Children's Hospital on Monday, and I have had to take him to the hospital a few of the other times. Well, I guess one other time to get something looked at. And the way the story goes, and I'm going to explain the story briefly but in full so you can understand where my head has been as a mother while I'm coming onto the show to talk to you from noon to 3 every day, and I'm supposed to get all worked up about what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, something stupid again. Like that day ends in Y for me. It's predictable, it's reliable. We had that big snow in February. My son had a sledding accident, and he went over a retaining wall, like a 7-foot drop, face down, went over a retaining wall. It was a situation where he was on a sled. He had been sledding for, 30 minutes, an hour or so. And then he got on an inflatable pool floaty kind of thing for the first time, went down on that, but that thing went way faster than the sleds were going, and he didn't bail out in time. He goes over this retaining wall and he hits the ground, and it was scary. He got up, got his breath back, but as he was walking away, he started to have significant pain in his side. And so I took him to the emergency room, and that was February 20th. So on February 20th, we're in the emergency room. I'm expecting broken ribs or something. They do a CAT scan on him. They do blood work on him. Everything comes back fine. But in the midst of all of this, they find what they thought was, I've learned a lot about this now, an adrenal adenoma, which is a tumor on his adrenal gland. And in the process of looking for other things that were going on, everything was fine with the sledding accident. But they said there is a growth on his adrenal gland. We think you need to get this looked into. So what does every good mom who has no medical degree do? You start to Google, which is a bad idea. You go into doctor's offices now. I don't know how frequently you find yourself in doctor's offices, and it's like, do not confuse your Google search with my medical degree on coffee mugs everywhere. And I don't think anybody drinks out of those coffee mugs. I think they are selectively placed so that when you walk in, it's like, okay, yes, I understand. No, I haven't Googled. Yes, I've Googled everything. And, if you go to the MayoClinic.org for anything, it always has the ultimate conclusion, and it's always the scariest, worst situation possible. So after we left the emergency room, we were excited because he had no broken ribs. They basically said it was a contusion or whatever it means to bruise your ribs. He came home and essentially was fine, except for this thing that they had incidentally found on his adrenal gland. Refer it to our pediatrician. The pediatrician says, I'd like to get an MRI. So he's had a CT scan. So then we go to Children's Hospital the last time I was off, and we get an MRI. And then they look at that,
And in the midst of all of this, when I get a call from Children's Hospital, like the best, you hear people talk about this stuff and you hear it as you're an observer. When people are taking their kids to Children's Hospital, people just gush over the service, the attention, the expertise of people at Children's Hospital. And I've never personally experienced it myself, which is a blessing. But now we're in the midst of this thing that we've kind of stumbled into. And I cannot say enough for every single person at Children's Hospital that I've come into contact with. I mean, it's so impressive the way they go about their business that in some way it takes the edge off. When you go there, you actually feel safer when you're in there than when you think about going there. The process of, driving the highway and getting to the hospital, when you get there, you feel like you're safe and you're being taken care of. And over the course of this last month, or probably what's more like 6 weeks at this point, I've been going to see doctors. I've been an idiot and Googling things. But about 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, they gave me a call. It was a Friday afternoon, and I got a call from the surgical doctor that we were potentially going to we were going to go see him. He said, "I want to let you know that you're going to get a call from oncology, and you're going to need to make an appointment with oncology. But this is just part of the process. This doesn't mean anything. This isn't an indication of anything. But when you come meet with us, if there is a tumor, whether it's benign or not, you are going to meet with oncology because we bring them in on the very first conversation about these things so that they can be aware of it." And man, that's not a word you want to hear as a mom. Even when the entire embodiment of the conversation is, "I'm calling to tell you this so that you don't worry." Well, I don't really have control over my ability to worry or to not worry. So nothing other than my obsessive Google searches to try to figure out and glean. I mean, this is really, honestly, the same thing that was pushing me to find out every single thing I could come up with or research or learn about what could possibly going on in my son's body is what actually is the same thing that makes it so that I can prepare to do a 3-hour talk show on who knows what on any given day, because this is the way I function. I want to learn. I want to know. I want to read. And I want to store all this information in my head so I can stitch together what's going on. So how I prepare for the show, what makes me capable of doing this show, is also what makes me a neurotic mother who wants to know, like, as if the information that I provide myself is going to help me ward anything off, any of the scary words that could be said. I just wanted to know as much as possible. So to make the long story short, this past Monday, we were at Children's Hospital and we met with the doctor there, and he was just absolutely amazing. He was so good with my son. I mean, he made my son feel comfortable before he even really talked to us, and that he knows what he's doing. I watched this happen in real time, made me feel comfortable. His attention to my son was probably as much for me, for my husband, as it was for my son, especially because we've never let the Nintendo Switch leave the house, but we let it leave the house that day, and my son was in hog heaven because he was sitting in the doctor's office playing video games. And when we were talking to him about it, and he's comparing the MRI and the CT scan and talking to us about what could have happened or what this could be, or, the scope of how bad it could be, he suggested he actually thought that it was possible that this might be an adrenal hemorrhage, which is another scary word, but it turns out that that's actually better than the idea of a tumor because a hemorrhage can correct itself. Then we went and had an ultrasound to have another image compared to the CT scan and the MRI. And then we did go meet with hematology and oncology. And the consensus has been so far, he's going to have some blood work to verify that it isn't anything outside of that. But it wasn't until Monday that I thought it was possible that it wasn't even a tumor. And you say the word tumor, and then the spectrum of what that could be is vast. So the reason why I'm telling you the story is because this has all been happening in my life for the last 6 weeks. And to the extent that I told Katie this, and I told my boss this, just so that, in the same vein of
pregnancy, if I said I needed something that they would immediately understand what that was. We didn't even tell our parents about this because I didn't want them to hear the buzzword of oncology or to start doing the Google thing that we were doing because we had no answers to provide. But this is life. And my story with my son, I think, is going to end fine. I think that the concept of him having that sledding accident and causing a hemorrhage on his adrenal gland, and it appears as though from the ultrasound yesterday that it has actually gotten significantly smaller, which is what it would do. It self-corrects, is the best possible ending to the last 6 weeks of my life that have been an enormously emotional roller coaster for me in private. So when people harmlessly, it's harmless because it's Twitter, but when people suggest that I'm taking another day off or that, you got to listen to a fill-in, I said my son had to go to the hospital yesterday. Please go on. That's what I said on Twitter. This guy's response is, how about the other times you missed work and forced people to scramble? Gonna play the kid card for all those occasions? Using your kids as human shields is never a good look. I don't know what kind of humanity that is. And it doesn't, when I see that, I'm not hurt by that. But I know that while we're on the air and we're talking to you about what the playing Representative Pete Sessions saying it's an embarrassment at the border and this is what you get when you elect Democrats, and talking about AOC and talking about all of these things that are important issues that affect your daily life. They really do. They're not important. I'm not humoring you by talking about these things every day. I'm interested in these things. But I know that you don't care about those things every day because you've got to go give a sales presentation that is extremely important to your career, and you got something going on in your life that has nothing to do with said sales presentation or the stupid thing that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said yesterday, or anything that you've got like real life issues that you're facing, and you have to put one foot in front of the other and still try to hit the ball out of the park at your sales presentation. Or if you're teaching kids in a classroom right now and you're working really hard to provide the very best education you can for those kids, you finally got them back in the classroom, but at home you're worried about maybe your significant other who is got a health concern, or maybe a job loss from COVID that hasn't been able to come back. The perspective that we have right now in our society, the priorities that we have are so upside down, and it is the problem. It's the cultural problem. It's humanity's problem. It is all of our problems. I think that people feel like this person did on Twitter, emboldened to say these things because this is how people talk on Twitter. I'm not mad at this guy. And I don't need him to know his place in the world, because his place in the world is no more or less important than my place in the world or my son's place in the world. Maybe in proximity to me, but not in total. When we don't understand the value of the humans who are around us, we will never, ever, ever solve the issues that we can go show after show after show complaining about. When it comes to what politics is going to fix, you think government is going to fix this kind of discourse in our society? It's not going to. No politician, no Donald Trump, no Joe Biden, nobody other than the return of Jesus Christ himself is going to fix what we have done to ourselves and what we continue to do to each other every single day, whether it's in comment sections or on Twitter or in chat rooms or wherever it is that we're having these discussions. Until we start caring more about one another and understanding that there is a personal responsibility that we need to take if we'd focus on ourselves before we'd worry about what everybody else is doing, that's how we get better. And until we do that, it's going to be more of this. And I know that my thick skin, and I have pretty thick skin, this stuff doesn't bother me. Sometimes my husband reads this and I can see his face turning red. I'm like, don't. We're fine. It's fine. Don't let it bother you. The more
I get of this probably in some weird twist of fate, the more successful my career is getting. So if it's getting to people, that's a sign that people are hearing what I have to say. It's my responsibility that I have to say something worth hearing. I don't take days off lightly. As far as I know, Katie, haven't left people scrambling. And my second most important commitment in life, second to my family and raising my family in a Christian home, is to use my profession as a way to make something better for somebody every day. And I don't take that lightly. And being away from this is a hard thing for me to do. So when I'm not here, I'm sorry that I'm not here, but I'm not sorry that I have priorities in my life that will just, from time to time, be more important than what I'm doing here. That was Monday. I'm not apologizing for it, but I am explaining because I think people can relate to it. And I think that's important. I've gone way long here, but I just wanted to give you that opportunity to look a little bit behind the curtain here, because now you could probably go back and look at some shows that I did in the last 6 weeks and understand a little bit more of what's going on. We'll be right back.
He sees it's just blue, like him, inside and outside. Blew his house with the blue.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show.
And everything is blue for him and himself and everybody around, 'cause he ain't got nobody to listen.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 52 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for Legacy Box, the fun and effortless way to have your aging tapes, films, and photos digitally preserved for generations. I know I have boxes of videos and pictures sitting in my basement, and there are a lot of great memories from when my kids were younger because, let's face it, we weren't using our cell phones as much back then. Legacy Box helps bring new life to old media by unlocking all those trapped memories and putting them in modern digital formats that's easy to use. So I'm just getting started with Legacy Box, getting ready to unpack those tapes and boxes, sending it in for transformation, and it couldn't be easier to use. All you really have to do is pack up the box and send it in. The Legacy Box team then creates a digital archive by hand. Then you get your new copy sent back to you on the cloud, a thumb drive, or DVD, along with your original pictures and recordings. Legacy Box just surpassed 1 million customers. And in celebration of that milestone, Legacy Box is offering 50% off for all 97.1 listeners. Go to legacybox.com/Mark to get started. Take advantage of 50% off. That's legacybox.com/Mark. Save 50% while supplies last.
Thomas Helbig and the Retirement Advisory Group waiting on your phone call to schedule your no-cost, no-obligation retirement review with the guy who is going to make sure that you have that confidence going into retirement. He works with people who are pre-retirees and retirees to make sure that you have security, that you have comfortability, a confidence, a peace of mind. When it comes to your retirement, he wants to make sure that you can secure your nest egg and provide income that's going to last you through your retirement and still leave a legacy for your heirs. He has done this for so many folks who are in this community of the Annie Fry Show of 97.1, and he's waiting for you to call as well. 314-993-9494. That's your ticket to ride on a no-cost, no-obligation retirement review. And when you come in and talk to him, he's going to just provide you for free a second edition book of Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. That's his book, and it covers everything he teaches in his live educational events. You can trust Thomas Helbig, so many other people just like you have. Get on the phone today and schedule that appointment. 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
You hear all the time about Diamonds Direct's prices and selection and warranties. All true, and all good reasons to give us a visit. But what really sets Diamonds Direct apart is something that's hard to put into words. But you will feel it. You'll know it from the minute you walk in. It's our unique culture, our passion, our genuine and absolute desire to totally revolutionize the way you experience jewelry shopping. It's why we do what we do. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
A reading from the Golden Oak Lending Book of Mortgage Lingo.
What is a cash-out refi? It's using the equity in your home to pay off high-interest credit cards. Paid it off! Yes! I'm James Hawkins, president of Golden Oak Lending. With mortgage rates at a record low 1.875%, you can save hundreds each month and skip your next two payments. You'll pay nothing out of pocket, and we never charge for a home appraisal if we can't close your loan. And remember, our local lending experts speak mortgage and love translating for our customers. Eliminating debt means putting your dreams back on the table today.
Updated bathroom?
Updated bathroom and a pool table?
Don't push it, Rick.
Get started with our fast and easy zipline tool at goldenoaklending.com.
NMLS 114937, 1.875% fixed, 2.913% APR. FHA 15-year mortgage with 20% equity and approved credit. 111 Westport Plaza, St. Louis, Missouri.
Odyssey is all the audio that matters to you. Listen on your smart speaker or voice-assisted device. Amazon Echo, Google Nest, Sonos, Apple HomePod. It's so easy to play your favorites at your command. Hands-free. All kinds of music from all over the country. Top 40, rock, R&B, country, alternative, and more. Sports talk and coverage from all the leagues. News from coast to coast. It's all here. Just ask your smart speaker to play your favorite station. Explore a universe of audio. Odyssey.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Tom Homan, the former acting director of ICE.
President Trump, he listened to the men and women on the line. He listened to the experts, and he acted accordingly. And we had the most secure border in my career. And within 2 weeks, the Biden administration tore it down.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9.
Baby, let's cruise away from here. Don't be confused. The way is clear.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Thanks for spending some time with us this afternoon. A big news happened this week with the company that owns 97.1. We were formerly Entercom. Now we are Odyssey, which is really exciting. And if you've ever listened to us on the radio.com app, the app, I loaded it earlier today just to see what would happen. So you could previously download the radio.com. Here it is. Let me pull it back up here. The radio.com app, wherever what is it, the Apple Store? Is that what it's still called? I feel like as soon as I catch up to what the Apple people in the world are saying, they change it. I'm an Android person myself, so if you go to Google Play on Android or the Apple Store on Apple, you will see an app called Odyssey, Audacy, and I'm just showing it to the screen right here on our live stream. When you pull it up here, this is a way to stream the station anywhere you go, the whole station. So I want you to check it out right now. It says radio.com is now Odyssey, your audio home for the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. It's all here, even the radio stations that you can listen to. So if you pulled up Odyssey right now and started playing 97.1 FM Talk, and you're listening to the Annie Fry Show on Odyssey, you just leave it right there. And then when Mark Reardon takes over at 3:00, you just get to continue to listen to him. So it's a pretty cool, exciting thing for our station to celebrate. And just so that if you see it out in front of you, just know that if you're listening to 97.1, you're listening to an Odyssey station.
And it's so easy and convenient. I use Odyssey. That's how I listen to Mark. I turn him on whenever I'm cooking something in the kitchen. So easy, crystal clear. It's awesome.
Yeah, I use it a lot as well. You can stream any of the Odyssey stations from this app as well. And it's got a lot of cool stuff here. I'm opening it and I'm playing with it right now. I wonder if I can play. Oh, it's going to play me an ad here real quick. I was going to say, can I play on the air me on Odyssey talking about me being on Odyssey?
Oh my gosh.
Is that the loop that ends everything?
My brain.
Is that how that goes?
Yeah. Too many times we probably will end up in an actual time vortex.
No.
Still playing an ad here.
We're already in a time vortex. Every day is Groundhog Day.
You can also see the Annie Fry Show podcast there. Let's see. If I can play, it's going to play me an ad real quick. Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is.
We didn't quite rewind far enough.
This is the craziest version of deja vu I've ever had. So yeah, so it's that easy. It's great. You can, obviously have your phone on Wi-Fi and you can listen to it that way. And also there's a button on the bottom that says podcast. And I will encourage you to go subscribe to the Annie Fry Show podcast right there. You can also subscribe to the Pixie Dust podcast, which is my Disney World podcast that we will be rebooting season 2 here shortly. We took some time off as I have been pregnant and Erica, who does it with me, is pregnant. She's like a month ahead of me. And so That and the fact that Disneyland wasn't open, which is going to be open in about a month, I think. All that stuff. So the Pixie Dust podcast, if you ever thought about planning a Disney World vacation, that's a great place to go. All right, Katie, let's squeeze in real quick here what I missed. Can we do that?
Sure.
Hey, what'd I miss?
So this is not the biggest news of the day, but it's still news. Matt Gaetz was on Tucker last night. Just going to play a little clip.
Who is this girl? What are they talking about in the New York Times?
The person doesn't exist. I have not had a relationship with a 17-year-old. That is totally false. The allegation, as I read it in the New York Times, is that I've traveled with some 17-year-old in some relationship. That is false, and records will bear that out to be false.
When I hear that, I hear The Limit Does Not Exist, which is a Mean Girls reference, which there's always a Mean Girls reference. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's going on with Matt Gaetz. He's pretty bold to come out and be like right away, this is totally untrue and unsubstantiated, and talking about there being an investigation, his dad's involved, wearing a wire. I don't have much to comment on this because I need way more information before I start to comment on this.
These kind of things are such a litmus test for if you put politics first, because if your reaction to this was, I want to defend him or I want to attack him, then you are absolutely putting politics first, because none of us have any idea whether any of this is true or false.
Well, in the House, they want to take him off the Judiciary Committee.
Of course they do.
Eric Swalwell's sleeping with Chinese spies.
Right.
This is a quick one. Anytime I have him on the list, I have to play it. It's John Kennedy.
Well, any kind of vaccine passport, whether by the public sector or the private sector right now, would be terribly unfair and indeed even unethical, because everybody doesn't yet have access to the vaccine.
Yeah, I've wondered that. I'm pregnant. I'm not getting this vaccine pregnant. I'm due in June. I probably will get it after I have this baby, but am I going to not be allowed to go places because I didn't get it because I had a circumstance that prevented it from me from getting it? Not to mention the fact that the reason why people get vaccines, a vaccinated public protects the people who can't get the vaccines. That is why I've been shamed into being a flu shot supporter, because my friend who has a child who can't do it says my vaccine is for her kid. And I said, I'll do it. And I did it. So I don't know where we're going here, but anyway.
But folks, I'm going.
See ya. Mark Reardon's coming in next. Excited to keep it on your Odyssey. I'm going to get it right. Odyssey app, because Mark Reardon's show is coming right at you.
Spring is a great time to upgrade the energy efficient